I can make it worse.
Thanks.
Just turn it off.
I turned it off and it turned back on and it just, yeah. All right. So for some of you, this is going to be a review. For some of you, it's not going to be a review. Here, I'm going to give this to you.
Maybe if someone was interested in helping out or doing things.
Yeah, and then we had that.
So the packet here, I guess I should start like this. Good morning, everybody. My name is Daniel Toller.
What's your name again?
I'm the director, founder of Rescue One Global with my wife, Lacey, who is not here. She is recovering from COVID pneumonia for a month and bronchitis now, I think is what it is, and then one of my son, which I'm glad we bought the trailer because he's staying out there in the quarantine bus now, so that's where he is. And my daughter is recovering as well. Anyway, that's our quick family update, other than we're trying to move from this location out to another location. Probably going to end up out there where you guys are, so we can do nothing in Lewisburg or Chapel Hill. Anyway.
Listen,
Yes, you
they
can.
did some busts in Lewisburg not that long ago.
This is the Human Trafficking Awareness 101 packet. It's just got some information in here for you, a little bit of history of Rescue One, some contact information. I tried to update this morning, but it was really early, so it could, no, I think it's all correct. We're going to speed through a lot of the content because there is so much, but while you're, if you ever see something, especially when you're in Johnson City as well, you can use the National Human Trafficking Hotline or the Tennessee Trafficking Hotline number in here. If you want to call, we say the Rescue One helpline, but it is the hotline, which comes to my phone or Derek when he's in town. The rescue, what we do is on the back side of that as well. It just talks about the Rescue One way. Pretty much, we try to explain what we do to counter human trafficking and provide holistic restoration in this format. You'll hear me talk about it a lot today. We're never sure what to call this, what we do. When people say, what do you do? Well, we focus in three specific areas. We have prevention, we have rescue, and we have restoration. The reality is that restoration is mingled in all of those. Those of you go on outreach, you understand that specifically, that we have people who are victimized, who are vulnerable, that they need restoration. They may not be trafficked, but they're extremely vulnerable to being trafficked. And if there's not trafficking going on, there is usually what we call survival sex that's happening and people exploiting them. So I'm going to try to explain that through that. On this piece, I'm going to explain what human trafficking is. We couldn't find a clicker, so Stuart's going to help me do that. There's a few things in here just to highlight points you will need to know. On the back side, it's blank. That way you can fill that out. The connection card, I think I know everybody in the room, and I already have your information. If you want to fill it out, feel free to fill it out. But keep it. Don't give it back to me. You're going to take a picture of it and send it to Stuart, not me, because it'll just get lost in all my other stuff that I have. On the back side of this is one guy came in particular for this very specific document. It's our mission trips for the year. We have one coming up at the end of October, November to the Philippines. Ukraine, we're talking about going to Ukraine next year. We're in conversations with the director there, with our partner ministry there, and then potentially doing a Thailand and Philippines trip in sometime in 27 as well. That's the most expensive trip. It's going to be about $5,000 because we literally go to one whole country, continent, and then we go to another one. I guess technically it's in one continent because whatever. Anyway, so just a lot of information to talk about that. Yes, ma'am.
Does the trip cost include airfare? Because that's pretty low.
For the Philippines?
And Thailand?
For both of them.
For the,
If you look at the bottom, it's contingent on what that looks like. Right now, I actually looked this morning when I was doing this. It's about $1,100 if we plan now to fly to Manila. But then you've got a island jumper from Manila down to the lowest island, which is Mindanao, where we actually go. And that usually costs $60. It's usually about what it is. That price never changes as far as in the Philippines.
But it could go up though because.
Oh, it could significantly go up, yeah. We try not to do what?
Oil per barrel.
Oh, correct, yeah. Since we don't do credit cards, we can't secure those tickets now. If we could, that would be, because we don't have the cash up front to, it's like, if we had 12 people going, that's a lot of money. Somebody else do the math, they're smarter than me. Yes, sir.
The May 1st, the deposit due on May 1st, is that negotiable?
It could be, yes.
Okay. Just curious.
As long as you put your $300 non-refundable deposit in, you're good to go.
That's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I'm
the
picking.
Can we adjust the date a little bit?
We, potentially, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about that later. All right, so good morning, everybody. I already told you who I was, and we already did it. Stuart, you missed it. It doesn't matter. Hopefully, you didn't miss anything that was important. We're going to go ahead and go to the, I guess I can just do this, and you'll know when to go to the advance to the next slide. Go ahead. On that same, sorry about the color. Tracy's trying to fix it, but she can't. I think they're just old TVs. If you haven't already, follow us on Facebook. I might be actually doing the wrong document. Hey there, come on in. This is Bailey, everybody. I thought I edited that, so I actually may have downloaded the incorrect PowerPoint, so just bear with me if we do. I'm just going to keep it the way it is. That way you can follow Lacey on Facebook. She'll be glad to have more people following her. These are all the handles for Rescue One, so if you want to tag something, follow us on social media, that's good. We don't have a TikTok because we don't believe in it.
You do have a TikTok.
Yeah, we do. There's a biblical mandate for what we do. Comes out of Proverbs 31, 8, and 9. Speak up for those who can't speak up for themselves. This is what we focus on. This is like the rated R disclaimer. The content that I'm going to cover is going to be very difficult. It's going to be very in your face, and you can't avoid the information, the stories. Some of you have been on outreach. You've already heard some of the stories, seen some of the stories. Who's gone on rescues? You've seen some of the stories anyway, and so you can't avoid it. It's something that you have to see. You also have to share it in order for people to understand the complexity and the depravity of what we do. This is a dark topic, but the Lord has called us to this. I tell people all the time, I wasn't built to pastor. I wasn't built to be an elder, maybe, possibly, but this is what I was built for. Stuart asks me all the time, and Tony on outreach, how did you see that? I don't know. I just know. There's just know. It's the mints, that's right. It's the pastor mints. Today's objectives, I can't really see that screen back there, even though my eyes are really good. That's really small. We're going to learn who, what, where, how trafficking occurs. We're going to go through the details of victims and the vulnerabilities, and even understand traffickers, and then how to create a correct, proper response. There's a lot of organizations that don't necessarily respond well. They might respond with law enforcement as they go to either a sting or after the fact. Most people, they think fighting trafficking is knocking in the door and stealing people out. There's a lot of organizations that do that around the world. Many of them that do it here very quickly learn that that's called kidnapping. And the police, when you do your own thing, they don't want to work with you when you're dumb. And so when you are strategic and you know where your line ends and where their line begins, they will give you more leeway when you prove yourself to them. And so there's a proper response and not a proper response. What is trafficking? Go ahead and go to the next one. Thanks, Stuart, for keeping me up. Human trafficking is the recruitment, transportation, transfer, harboring, or receipt of a person using certain means, force, fraud, deception, for the purpose of commercial or personal gain. Yeah, we'll go ahead and go to the next one. In order to have a human trafficking case, you have to have 3 elements. This is on one of your sheets. Therefore, you have the 3 blocks there. You have to have an action, you have to have a means, and you have to have a purpose. The action is the recruitment, transport, transfer, receipt, harboring of a person. That is the action. People say, well, the coyotes bring people across the southern border all the time. That's not human trafficking. That's called smuggling. If they're bringing them across the border for the purpose of just to throw them in the U.S., that's smuggling. That's not trafficking. What is trafficking is if that person brings a 13-year-old girl, sells them to somebody else for the purpose of either labor or sex, that is human trafficking. Happens all the time. We have a girl in our safe house. Actually, she's a lady now. She's 22, maybe, 21, 22. She has 2 children. Her dad brought her dad, we don't know, brought her when she was 13, sold her to the house literally across the street from our safe house, and she was raped there for a year or so until she got pregnant, and then they took her to the hospital and dumped her and left her. So she has no father, she has no family, she has nothing. And she can't go back because she has kids, kids here now. It's just a horrific story, but it happens all the time. So these are the 2 types of trafficking. You got labor and you've got sex. That's really it. There are, as far as we know, about 1 million Filipino women who live in New York, Baltimore area, from New York up to all those little small states. They're nannies, they're maids, they are servants, household servants, and they came here on a tourist visa, and then it's actually one of the systems that has been allowed to continue in our U.S. government, that they come here that way, and then no one really follows up with them. When we lived in Thailand, my family and I, every 90 days we had to report to their office. They have an immigration office. They are police. And if you do not obey, they fine you, each person, per day that you extend your time. And then if you don't, 1, pay up, and 2, have a proper visa, then you get kicked out of the country. It is that simple. It should be that easy. Getting into a country, it should be difficult. Getting out of a country should be easy because either you belong there or you don't belong there. Because of the vulnerabilities that are created in that scenario, people exploit others. So it's not a political issue as I don't want people here. I know the vulnerabilities that are created in those scenarios, and people always exploit them. That's just what we've seen throughout our time and what we do. $236 billion is an estimate of how much money is generated per year on the sale of a body. I just want to let that sink in for a little bit. That's an estimate. That's not even accurate projections. And could you run to the, no, you can't do that. I need some papers that printed off on the thing. If you can go get them, I'm going to explain these 2. Go ahead and go to the next one. Yeah, I'm going to have him go get me some papers because I wanted to go through this because I felt like it was really important. So as of today, there's 50 million people who are trapped in some form of slavery, human trafficking. Those are, again, just like the dollar figure, best guesstimates. We actually don't know how many people are trapped in some form of exploitation, whether it's labor or sex. And typically, if there's labor trafficking involved, especially for females, there's always an element of sex trafficking as well. No papers printed. Okay, so forget that. In 2017, I think the International Labor Organization did a study and discovered that there was 40.3 million people around the world who were either being labor trafficked or sex trafficked, and then combinations of both. I think they estimated about 13 to 15 million young women, late teens to 20s, were in what they call the domestic servitude or child brides. That's a lot of people. Well, they redid that survey in 22, I believe, the International Labor Organization, and what they discovered was, with all the awareness that has been going on, all the movement that has been done with the State Department and countries to raise awareness about human trafficking, the numbers were not decreasing. Now, there's a big feedback. Can you pull that main down a little bit? I can hear myself feedback. There's the main all the way on the far left. That's the right. I'm sorry, that is my side. It should say main, just pull it down a little bit. Okay, that's good. I can hear myself feedback. Tell me what I was saying.
Tom, what are you saying?
Numbers increased from
Okay.
going out.
In the State Department, they're
Yeah, okay, great, yes. So the numbers were not decreasing with all the awareness and the millions and billions of dollars that were being thrown out there to counter human trafficking. They were actually increasing. And so in 22, what they discovered was the numbers as far as child brides for females was not changing. It was steadily increasing. Brick makers, cotton pickers, chocolate plantations, coffee plantations, those numbers were significantly increasing to 50 million plus. And so their estimates are between 48 to 56 million. And if you read maybe the reason why that didn't print, there's like 180 pages that I've tried to print off, because I was going to read through some of the details of it. They actually don't know why. They have no solution on why it's increasing. And I know the reason why is because people have vulnerabilities, and other people see that vulnerability and they exploit it at any means possible. And there's always an element of, I'm going to gain something from it, whether, again, personally gaining from the pleasure of it or for the money of it, right? That's just the way it is. These numbers for the U.S., about 200,000, those numbers are, I don't necessarily think they're accurate from what the State Department and even the TBI report, the TIP report, this Trafficking in Persons report, comes out from the Department of State. Again, they're all guesstimates. These are the minors that are being trafficked in the U.S. at any given time. They say it's about 200,000, but the number in general is 1.5 to 2 million people who are being U.S. citizens being trafficked within our borders. Not outside our borders, not people coming into our country. Before COVID, there were about 17,000 people who they could track were brought into the country specifically to be trafficked. When COVID occurred and the borders went way open, those numbers went into they can't guess. So now they think they have about 200,000, 300,000 minors from across the world that have been brought to the U.S. and lost. They've found about 60,000 of them with this current administration's push to find those kids, but those other kids are gone. And just like one of our stories in our safe house, we know where they end up. They end up in these homes where they are makeshift brothels. That one home also, they tear cars apart and they send the parts to Mexico. And so it's an element of trade to them. That's all it is. 62% of victims were U.S. citizens, were permanent residents, and then 35% were foreign nationals. That's still about the average. So when we say human trafficking in the U.S., we're not talking about somebody from China or Mexico or Guatemala or Honduras that we're having a problem with. Yes, we have those numbers, but the majority of the ones that we see are U.S. citizens. And those of you who go on outreach every Thursday, when you look at that statistic, you can go, yeah, that's right. You can tell that's right. All right, go ahead and go to the next one. In Tennessee, trafficking is big business. When the Super Bowl draft was here, when in what, 17 or 19? 19? Right before COVID, yeah, there you go. When that came in, we worked with the TBI and the FBI to put significant measures in place to make sure that we, one, identify trafficking and also try to eliminate trafficking occurring here in the U.S. Here in Nashville. But as you can see, we have a prime location for everything. We have lots of tourism, we have lots of sporting, and we're growing. People want to be in this area. Not just because it's fun and because we got all kinds of great music, but because you can get anything you want here. Those of you who go on the street know that you can find pretty much any type of drug on the street, right? Yeah. And so if you're looking for pleasure or fun, you can find it here. You've got a good airport, and you've got our interstates that connect us to the entire country very easily. East to west, north to south. It's very easy to get into the U.S. Into Nashville for tourism or visiting, but it's just as easy to bring people in and out of the area for nefarious purposes. This is done by the TBI in 24, as far as understanding what it means by its big business here in Tennessee. These are the hotline calls. I should have brought my statistics as far as Rescue 1 was concerned in 24, how many hotline calls we took, because we can corroborate this as well. So in Middle Tennessee, they received 406 tips to the TBI to say, we think something is happening. Some of those calls are from me and our team, because when we see something, we call it in to them because they have to be able to properly investigate it. Even though I may talk to a detective or a special agent, we still call the report or the line and say we report it, because they have to go through the proper methods. So some of those were from us, but the majority of them are in Middle Tennessee. You have out-of-state people. That means people were traveling in and out, noticed something, or saw something leaving the state, and they went ahead and called that tip report for everybody to understand that. Go to the next one. Let's see, go back one. Oh, it's the same one, sorry. So if you look at it here, you had 44 calls for labor, adult sex trafficking 223, minor sex trafficking. I just want to be honest with you. If you're a man looking to buy sex, you're looking for new to the market. That's the terms they use in their solicitations. New to the area, young. There's all types of extremely derogatory phrases they use to solicit or sell the product, because that's what it is. They're a product. Now, when we get to it in the future, on down, we'll see that some of these are runaway kids, and it'll make sense. But that's the number one call for the TIP report. I'm sorry, the TIP TBI hotline for trafficking individuals. Go to the next one. The ages here, again, the majority of them are 13 to 17. That's over 300 calls for that specific one. Okay, go to the next one. This is the number of operations that they did starting. So human trafficking became really, really popular around 2010. 2013, we were beginning to understand significant things on the ground. It wasn't until 15 that the TBI started actually doing targeted operations for trafficking. In 24, they said they had 31 operations. I hope the next one is convictions or arrests. Yeah, arrests. So you can see how their arrests somewhat increased. Let's go to the next slide. I think I have, okay. I don't think I included it. The convictions that they had in 24 and in 25 were below 10 each year. And what is frustrating to our team is we get about, on average, 1.5 hotline calls a week to Rescue One that is specifically someone's being trafficked. They need to get out. So we have, let's just round it down to, if it's one a week, that's 52 a year. Now, not all of them we can take in the safe house. Not all of them are they are going to say, these are the requirements for you to get me to safety, and I'll explain those here in a little bit. They don't want to go into what they would call a control state. They want to have freedom. They want to have a blank check and a place to stay. Now, very rarely do we just say, yes, we're just going to take you in for that. And I'll explain some of that, the profiling here in a few minutes. But that is, we receive just as many calls as, I would say, the TBI do. And we also identify together on outreach and other partners that we have about the same number per year of victims. And if we had the budget that TBI has, I know because of our effective rate, we could get people out of into safety more. But it comes down to dollars, and it comes down to people being mobilized in an area and understanding. And some of the information I'm going to share with you, we've had a lot of volunteers. I was actually going back through this last night and today. The number of volunteers we've had come in, we've had a lot of volunteers. Not a lot of people stick. And I want you to remember what my phrase about not a lot of people stick. And hopefully I can explain that here in more detail. All right, go ahead. We'll go to the next one. If you look at the pictures on these, hopefully, well, sorry, it's in green still. But the reason to do this is all these traffickers, you've got females up there, you've got men, of course. They're white, black, Asian, Hispanic. Traffickers look just like us, really. They're the same as us. Go ahead and go to the next one. These are the recruitment locations. So someone who is trying to lure or recruit a victim into trafficking, one of the number one locations they do it is social circles. They do it in neighborhoods, clubs and bars. Now this is like a 10-year-old graphic. They haven't changed. There is some that have increased a little bit as far as internet or apps, but it's really the same. They're luring through apps, Facebook, TikTok, others, but they get them into, traffickers use that information to find out where their vulnerabilities are, and then they go to those locations to get them, which is why it's so important that we have safety measures in place for our kids. Roblox. It is a game that is, actually there's a guy who is trying to get that game shut down.
What's it called?
Roblox.
They're actively fighting him too. Like, they're
Oh, yeah, they are.
They're not shutting any of these things down, guys who get on there and do
Yeah.
and stuff.
Because you can have chats. If you ever played Roblox, it's just a dumb little game or a bunch of games that kids get on all the time, and you can chat back and forth. And we had a case out in Columbia where I think you're supposed to say mentally disabled. I think that's the right way to say it. Is that correct? What's the correct term now?
It's living with a mental, it's a diagnosis, basically.
Yeah, so she has a low IQ.
Oh, that, okay, yeah, just intellectual
Yeah,
disability.
there you go, intellectual disabilities. We have somebody that is in the 70, 80 range, and she plays Roblox. When she turned 18, somebody had been building a relationship with her over 2 years, and then he showed up from California, convinced her that they were soulmates, and he took her. That's one scenario. Then you have other scenarios where they convince young kids to get on these other apps, other ways to communicate. They send pictures, they do things, and it just goes downhill from there. And so these are the ways that people were trying to recruit them. It used to be high in the malls because kids went to the mall a bunch, and there's a lot of vulnerabilities with those populations. These are the tactics that traffickers use. We went from the most effective to the kind of least effective. Boyfriend complex or lover complex is one of the highest. The social networks. We have a phrase that we teach to especially kids, youth. If you didn't pop it, don't drink it. So you didn't pop the top, don't drink it. Here in Nashville, we've had significant scenarios where people were at there used to be a place called Sublime downtown. They closed it down or they moved. They would have on the weekends, I think one weekend a month, they would have underage, no alcohol night, and they would have opportunities for teenagers to come into the club, and they would serve Coke and other drinks. But they would use that. People would roofie their girls' drinks and boys' drinks. And one time, Lacey actually was in the hospital with one of our kids who had an injury, I think it was a football injury. And one of the detectives recognized Lacey and said, "Hey, come see this real quick." And what she explained was there were 10 girls that were on this group. All of them got the same symptoms and sick. Some of them left and went home and ended up back at the hospital because of the symptoms. The symptoms were they were passing out, they had nausea, they couldn't communicate, they were drugged. And Lacey said, she told the doctors, run a diagnostic for roofies. And they're like, certainly it's not. It was exactly what it was. They were trying to roofie the girls, get them alone, and then take them. And so Lacey was able to help with that investigation. Very quickly after that, Sublime did close down, actually. But these are the ways that traffickers use. If you look at those who go on outreach, look at some of the details here that make sense, right? So the blackmail is going to be the number 2, maybe 3. The I love you, care for you, want to be a significant person in your life. That's the number 1 way, even on outreach. And then promises of things it probably competes with 2 and 3, right? They don't kidnap them because they've already got them in a situation where they're extreme vulnerable. They need shelter, they need food, they need community, and this culture provides that in a weird, dark kind of way. Let's go to the next one. The facilitators of or conduits of trafficking. If it's a business, it's a facilitator for trafficking. That's why we have so many of them: hotels, motels, rentals, abandoned homes, labor services. Where I was telling you earlier about the Philippines, we know of, even still today, there are organizations that the way they make money is they help people from other countries come to the U.S. To find work. So it's legal labor trafficking. Once they get here, those people disappear into the system or into the infrastructure of the U.S., but no one follows back up with them. And so we've had, I personally know of people who have siblings who are living here in the U.S. in that status. They came here to do this thing, and now they are underpaid nannies to people that have money. And so it is real. It happens consistently, and it's going to continue to go. Online websites, phone books, they don't usually use those much anymore, but it's online now, right?
Banks and financial.
Oh, banks and financial institutions, is it Chime? There's a banking system that allows you to put like prepay money on cards, and that's how Bitcoin, that's how people are paying for either online or for sex. That's one of the ways they do it. So those banking facilities help process pay or money for traffickers.
They're not actually employing them.
Correct. I mean, they might be, but yes. But you never know, right? But that's one of the reasons why when there's been a lot of information on Epstein, right? Who was the primary guy that they were trying to get information from? His banker. And the 4 wealthy men that was helping fund some of his stuff. That's what was happening. So follow the money. That's right, follow the money. Oh yeah, so this number might be a little low. We think it probably is now because of the increase of OnlyFans and Skip the Games and other websites where you can either post sexual content online. But for the majority of online predators, there's at least 750,000 every day who are trolling for images that are attractive to them, or vulnerable children or women or even men who are posting things that create the awareness that that person is an easy target. Like, again, Roblox. There hasn't been a full, maybe that's something we can have Bryant Haynes do a full deep dive into all the online app elements that allow access to children and other people, and we could probably figure out how many are predators hunting for vulnerable populations. But that's important for our children and grandkids to know, because that is one of the number one ways that traffickers identify a target, and they will go to know. They will travel, like that one I was telling you about, from California to come get this girl. That way they can sell her. And I think they ended up in Colorado, and then the trail runs off there. We worked with the FBI on that specific case, and we don't know where she went to. She disappeared somewhere. Who's being trafficked? You can go to the next slide. If you listen to any of the conversation that I've been having so far, everybody is being trafficked. There's not any person who is not exempt. We've got stories of young girls who are going to school at Trevecca who's being trafficked. We've got stories of here in Antioch of girls who they're getting boyfriends, again, the boyfriend complex, and the mother or somebody is helping to facilitate picking out specific girls at that middle school for the boyfriend to recruit into their system. It happens right here in Antioch. We've got girls, Vanderbilt University, there was a girl who lost her scholarship, and she went to doing dates, and they used to call it turning tricks, right? Now we call it doing dates. Well, somebody in the business department said, I can help you manage your accounts. So she got arrested because of what she was doing, discovered that she was being exploited by this entrepreneur who became a trafficker. We've got girls that we know of in Brentwood who there's sextortion. They post a picture or they send it to a boyfriend and then they use it. And then because of a vulnerability that is created in that scenario, other bad things happen and then they get exploited. Businesses go down in Brentwood, husband and wife divorce, and we end up at the Roadway Inn next to us. One of our previous board member was doing outreach with us, Jonathan Williams. You remember him? He served for on outreach two or 3 years, and the first day we went there, knocked on the door. Lady opened the door and she recognized him, but he did not recognize her. And then she started explaining who she was, and he goes, I went to high school with her. What's she doing? And I said, well, this is your first time. We've been here for 6 months already. Let me tell you what she's doing. And so he got her story. She got addicted to drugs. Her husband divorced her, gave her nothing and kicked her out, and she ended up on the street trying to survive. And so it's not just a drug addict that's in Antioch somewhere that's being trafficked. It's all of them, right? One of our first victims came from Williamson County. Her mom worked at Deja Vu and at the time Crazy Horse. Those are strip clubs downtown. Crazy Horse is gone. Deja Vu is still open. But her mom was the manager for those two establishments for a long time. And at 13, her mom would take her to work. At 13, her mom allowed her to start dancing, and then she could make more money in the VIP rooms. And so that's my first case here. She was 18 when we discovered her with law enforcement, and the trafficker was a Russian mafia, very low-level Russian mafia guy. Ended up going to jail for a long time because of the trafficking. But it's not just the poor folks from the bad side of town. It's everybody. And that one girl that was going to Trevecca, their family are migrants, immigrants from Egypt. And the same way that they traffic in Egypt, they traffic here. And so she was very susceptible to that culture. And so the reason why I tell you all these stories, it's because anyone is susceptible. We've discovered that in this format of being trafficked, there's a perfect storm for it. When Lacey does this presentation, she says, anybody ever been in a tornado? How much time do you have to prepare for a tornado? It's instant, right? It's coming. All you have to do is, she even uses this phrase, you just hunker down until it's over. Well, that's pretty much what survivors do. Either they get themselves into a scenario where they can't figure out how to get out of it, or someone exploits them and tricks them into it, then they're stuck. And then they don't know what to do. They don't know who they can trust. Shame covers a lot of that. Then I don't want to share this with somebody because now they're going to think this of me. And then that shame factor just keeps them stuck there. They just don't get out. So this is what the vulnerabilities look like in the perfect storm. Internationally, lack of education, the culture, opportunity. What I mean by that is you can make money on it, right? There is an opportunity to make money to do this for a short amount of time, and then I can stop doing it, and then it'll be fine. I think Tracy the company she works for had a call very similar to something like that. There was an opportunity to make money, and I got stuck, and now my boyfriend doesn't want to stop doing it because it's money, right? It's easy, passive income is what they kind of say. But that goes across, the opportunity goes across into any of the either whether it's international, domestic, or universal. Religion, I'll go back to that. Religion plays a huge part into it. Islamic religion, extreme high pedophiles, extreme control, extreme exploitation, extreme women and children are property. And so even their teachings, they say they're property like goats and chickens, and that's what they say in their religion. And so if you have that perspective of somebody, then you're going to exploit them because you don't see them as God intended them, as just as valuable as you are, right? So there is intrinsic value that those people just don't care about. Political conflict, anytime there's a political conflict, or I don't think we have it on here. Let's see, we should have something about natural disasters somewhere. Maybe we took it out, but when you have a natural disaster, somebody always comes in to exploit, again, whether it's labor or sex or both, and it happens here in the U.S. just like it does in any other country. When Hurricane Helene came through, children were highly vulnerable and families were highly vulnerable, and we have stories from the FBI and others of Florida, Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, of some of these scenarios where people swooped in to take advantage of, to replenish a product because they could. And so it's very common. It's not just in Mexico or where earthquakes happen, or a tsunami comes through in Thailand in 2005. It's really any time it happens. You got a question?
Like when you say like political conflict, are you talking about like collapse and like coups and things, or like
Yeah.
general instability?
So right now, just think of what's going on in Iran. There is high probability of people being trafficked. During the reason why we went to Ukraine in 23 was because Russia was moving into these low-B towns, and they would come and they would kill every man. 15 and up men, they killed them all. They just shot them. If you were under 15, they would take you, boys, they would take you back into, or girls who were, I think, 9 and younger, they would take back into Russia to re-educate them. Boys 15 and younger, they would take them into Russia to re-educate them. The whole purpose was to brainwash them, to tell them they are Russian, and this is how you should live and be. Back to culture, right? So political conflict goes into culture. The girls, 15 to 35, I think, women as well, they would keep them in whatever town they were in, and they would just violently rape them the whole time they were occupying that little location. When they were done with that company was done with that location and moved to the next one, they would either take some with them or just leave them. So we got a call that said we found in this one little town 62 girls. The youngest was 9 or 10 who was pregnant. The oldest was 22 who was pregnant, all of them from Russian abuse. That's why we were called, because of this scenario. So we go in and we have a conversation with, we were hoping to have a conversation with Zelensky, but he was really busy and he was always on the move because they were trying to kill him. So his transportation director, whatever you want to call him, I guess he would be the Minister of Transportation, who was bringing in arms, supplies, food, all types of clothes from Poland, Switzerland, right on the border. We had a conversation with him. I sent a buddy of mine who's here in Nashville a message that said, hey, I'm going to have this meeting. This guy is going to deny that human trafficking is happening. I need to know what all the elements of human trafficking are happening. I can see some already on the ground. I found some, there's 2 red light districts I already found when I'm on the ground in just a 30-minute drive into town. I need to know how much is going online. And he's like, well, there's going to be a difficulty right now because there's so much out there. I said, here's the parameters, here's the filters. I need you to find this information. He goes, how much time you got? I said, I got 20 minutes. I'm going to meet with this guy. Like, he's on the way here to meet me. He's like, okay, fine, I'll get it. While we're in the meeting, he sends me a voice message and says, hey, I could only find 19,000 of these. Here's the top 10. And so I said, okay, great, thanks. I sent him back a message. I pull open my email and I get a database of online solicitations for Ukrainian women, how to find them, how to get them from Ukraine, where you can find them in the U.S., because many of them are being sent to the U.S. because they're asylum, right? Because of all the war stuff going on. So all that is going on at one time. So I asked the host of this location to print this document off so I could give it to him personally, but I also emailed it to him. We're having a conversation similar to what we're doing now, just kind of doing a one-over, right, of very high-level overview of what human trafficking looks like. And this guy speaks very little English. His name is Nazar. He looks at Lacey and I, and he goes, prove it to me. And I said, I don't have to. He came with 3 guys. And the fat, chubby one on the end, while we're having a conversation, I could tell he knows. So I said, what's your role? He goes, what do you mean? I said, what do you do for him? He goes, well, I'm a commander of 1,000 men. And my main job is to make sure that they stay in line when they go on rest. So they're in the front line. When they come back and have a break for the weekend, or one of the things they were doing was you'd be at war for 6 months. You could come home for, I think, 2 weeks. So you come home and visit. I said, the entire time we're having a conversation, this guy I can see it on his face. He has your answer you're looking for. I don't have to prove it to you. Hey! So they start having this Ukrainian conversation back and forth. And Nazar looked at me and said, I'm sorry. I misunderstood. We have it right here. And at the time, we were in Lutsk. I said, yes, you do. On my way in, I saw red light districts. He's like, what's that? I said, a place for men to go buy girls. He goes, oh, yeah, we have that. I said, they're not there because they just want to be. And I said, with the increase of this problem, it's significantly more because you have men who go off to war, and this is another, probably should be on there as far as opportunity. When men go to war and they face killing, their brain is messed up, their heart is messed up, and they come back aggressive. And one of the ways that they try to eliminate their aggression and what they've seen is through either pornography or sex. And if it's not given to them as an offered, they either buy it or take it. And so I told him, your army needs to understand they need PTSD training. They also need to know how to recover from these things, because when they come back highly activated, their pleasure, their adrenaline, all these things are high, right? When they come back to the normal life, they don't get that. And so war does that to people very, very rapidly. And when they're trying to just survive, sex is, for all of us who are married, it eliminates anxiety. It brings comfort. It's the way God made it. And so the world has distorted it, and traffickers abuse it. And those are not explanations, but it helps understand the mentality of either someone pursuing to traffic or exploit, or to pursue buying sex, or someone who is stuck in that scenario because they can't get out of it. So all of these we have found are the causes, the root factors to opportunities to be trafficked. And then universal poverty, immigration, again, we've already talked about immigration, criminal networks, whether it's TDA, which is the Tren de Aragua group, MS-13, who is in the Philippines, by the way. They're in like 90 countries, I think. They're a South American gang that they've exported their drugs and girls and guns, pretty much, and they have these groups. Yeah, then you got lack of effective legislature and law enforcement. That's probably the biggest one. When you can law your way out of things, we'll just leave it at that. The corrupt law enforcement as well, especially international, we face, but we face some of it here as well. I know this is being recorded and hopefully it doesn't get out too much. I don't trust most law enforcement. I use very few contacts. If I know you, I went to church with you, I know your family, or I spend a long time with you, is when I will utilize. There is one person on the TBI that I use. It's like my direct contact, but I'm not confident that there's not something weird happening. Because if the information I have is detrimental to something else they're doing, they just let it go. And they don't respond. And so law enforcement is this balance between, we want to get the bad guys, but this information is going to hinder us from doing that. Or that guy is a confidential informant, so we can't do anything. It's a big hamster wheel and doesn't get taken care of. That's a frustrating element for us. We will give law enforcement, either Homeland Security, FBI, TBI, which is Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, or local law enforcement. We will give them what we call packages to respond to people, and they very rarely will do it because it's not in their best interest and it doesn't make money. So that's a different thing. So you've got, those are the vulnerabilities, the roots of vulnerabilities. I spent a lot of time on that one, but it was a good question. This is just who are the most vulnerable populations. And again, I just want to go back. Everybody is vulnerable. Have you ever been vulnerable or manipulated in your life? Certain things can happen in your life that you either allow someone to dig a hole for you, or you dig a hole and then you can't get out. And typically, again, shame, but also I don't know who I can trust or who has the ability to help me out, so I don't reach out. And for those of you who go on outreach, for those 6 women, we know if we could just get them out, they'd be fine. They've already tried. They've been beaten. They've been raped. They've been gang raped. They've been videoed and blackmailed and all these other kind of things. They're not going to get out because of it. You just keep compounding and compounding and compounding trauma. And then, I thought I could trust this guy. I started blasting down the street. Thought I could trust this guy, and then he did this thing to me. Thought I could trust this person, they did this to me. I thought I could trust this girl who I'm living with now, I'm temporarily staying, and then she allowed this stuff to happen. Like she leaves the room, and this stuff happens to me, right? Who do I trust? And because I don't want to just die on the street, I stay in this weird scenario, and I just never get out. If you want to take a picture of that, but that's pretty self-explanatory. I've kind of done a profile of each of those and just some of the information I've shared. Go ahead, Stuart. 73% of victims, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to print out that document from ILO. Their statistic is, I think, 71%. Ours is about 73% of our female victims. 45% of those that we see are minors, and then the average age of entry, it fluctuates between 12 to 14 or 15, but the average age of entry for sexual exploitation is 13. Trafficking, this is myths and truths here. Trafficking only happens overseas in red light districts. The answer to that is that's not true. Go ahead and go to the next one. 1 out of 5 youth have been a victim of sex or labor trafficking or both. I might have this statistic in here. I don't remember if I do. But in the state of Tennessee, there are 600 to 900 youth that run away or go missing every month. That's not in a year, that's every month. So 600 to 900 children go missing every month in the state of Tennessee. And if it's the statistic is true, is 1 out of this says 5. I think it's like 5.6 or something like that. So it's 1 out of every 6. So between 95 to 125 of those that go missing every month, they will enter into some form of exploitation, human trafficking. And this is how the scenario usually goes. Somebody who discovers that child on the street, whether it's boy or girl, doesn't matter, and then they will say, you shouldn't be out here. Instead of calling the police and saying, we're going to find your family and get you back home, they say something like, I'll take care of you, I'll provide. You want something to eat? Let's go get a hamburger. I have a conversation with you. Oh, so you ran away from home because mom wouldn't let you wear what you wanted to wear, and they made you break up with your boyfriend, or there is trauma in the house. Your mom and dad are fighting again. Dad beats mom, and so she doesn't want to get beat or molested, so she leaves again, goes to the street, and then whoever contacts that individual, that child, begins to create some scenario of, I'm going to provide for you for this. There's always a string attached to it. And so that's typically how it happens. A lot of our girls on the street that we see in outreach, this is their scenario. For some reason, they ran away or they couldn't trust the whole family life or the system they were in. And so to avoid it, they just go to some other system, and then that system doesn't provide for them or care for them, and then they just get exploited and hurt as well. So that statistic is true. Yeah, go to that one right there. We talk a lot about this. This is how I met Tony, pretty much. We talk about adverse childhood experiences. What an adverse childhood experience is just what it sounds like. Do you know what they are? Would you like to explain it?
It's just a level, it's a score, like an assessment based on what a child has experienced in their life at home, like divorce, drugs, stuff like that. And then depending on those experiences, the score goes higher. And the higher the score, the more vulnerable, I guess.
The more vulnerable, yeah. So it goes from birth to 18 is the score. The age ranges of how you articulate the score. Go to the next one. I actually think it has, so abuse. If you've got some type of abuse, emotional, verbal, social, physical abuse or neglect in the house, this is a way to mark whether you have a vulnerability or an adverse childhood experience. Household dysfunction is one of the primary ways that abuse is not conducted. Like, it's not someone's intentionally trying to do it. Sometimes they are, but it manifests in these formats, and the more you have these, the more trauma you have, and the more susceptibility you have to vulnerabilities. And you've got con artists who can identify these things. So I said, the malls earlier, right? One of the ways that traffickers would go to get their victims was at malls. Because I could have a conversation with Tony and figure out he's a confident dude. I'm not going to mess with him. I could have a conversation with Randy, and I could go, okay, he's got he's got some sensitivity to some of the conversations we had, possible target. I can have a conversation with Bailey and go, she's a confident, attractive girl, but there's this thing, like she won't look me in the eye. Why is that? Why will she not look me in the eye? So if she is, whether she's dressed modestly or immodestly, doesn't matter. If I have a conversation with her and she will not look me in the eyes, there's shame, guilt, fear. I can exploit that. If she keeps looking me in the eyes and stays firm, she's not a target. I'm not going to get anywhere with her. I'm done. I'm going to move to the next one. That's just how it works. And so when you get older, you know a lot about this as far as some of the things you've been doing and teaching in your life. When you get older, you realize, man, the household, we did a poor job of articulating that you're building adults. You're not raising children. And how you prepare them for adulthood is how you treat them as a child. Are they going to always be a child? Or do you have an expectation they're going to be a confident, firm, effective adult, right? And so when we discover that we're doing things in our house that are detrimental to their spiritual, social, physical, emotional growth, we should identify those as parents and fix that, right? But most families never admit that they have a problem. Their kids are always either perfect or they're perfect parents. Or you go the other route. No, I think Johnny or Sally should learn themselves, and they'll figure it out. No, you're an absent parent. You didn't teach them Scripture. You didn't teach them these things. You didn't put them in a right scenario where they could build healthy culture and identify unhealthy culture, which is most of the people that we see on outreach or we get called from law enforcement, they have no idea what healthy culture is. And so the church's main responsibility is teach healthy culture and transplant healthy culture. And most churches don't do that very well. I spent a lot of time on that one. Go to the next one. I covered a lot about this. Let's go through them and see if I covered them. Yeah, the trafficker is not the creepy van coming by. I mean, sometimes, but it's not. It's easier to convince Bailey to come with me than it is to just take Bailey. That makes sense? Because now she's going to scream and fight, and I have to hit her or do something, drug her, and that's going to decrease the value of the product I'm looking for. So you got to go back to, I didn't say this earlier, but human trafficking victims, they are products. Whether it's labor or it's sex, I'm going to use them for this purpose to get what I need out of it, so that person is a product to me. And when you see on the street, when the product begins to devalue, let's use it that way, when they begin to devalue, they're no longer my hot topic. I'm going to find a new one. And so when a new girl comes in on outreach, the guys who facilitate the structure of exploitation and trafficking, they're going to target her or him or even them together and figure out how they can manipulate the system to get them where they want them. It happens all the time. Shipping containers of children, it's rare. Zip ties on your car, no. They weren't shipping them in Wayfair trucks and boxes. The movie Taken, if you've ever seen it, it is a good movie. And it's like 2% of what trafficking looks like. Now, the scenarios, who has seen Taken? Okay. Everybody but you two. You should at least watch it. It's Liam Neeson. I mean, come on, he is an awesome guy. The scenarios at the airport, that's real. The girls go, we just saw this guy, the group went to Spain from Alabama, and this one kid ends up dead in Spain. I don't know if y'all saw that news report. When you go to another country, you're highly vulnerable because you don't know their culture, you don't know the language typically, and you don't know the systems, whether criminality or healthy culture, right? Healthy community. And so when you go somewhere, you become vulnerable. This kid went alone with somebody he didn't know and ended up dead in Spain. That scenario in the movie Taken, very real. Girls being taken to those tent brothels, very real. What I didn't start with, and I typically try not to do this, is when we moved to Thailand, who has heard this story? Okay, so when we moved to Thailand as missionaries, we were 2 to 3 months in the country, just learning the language. I mean, we could speak like colors and cars, hospital, police. You know, we knew those because those are typically the first things you learn, because when you get lost, you need to be able to say, I need someone to help me get home, right? Or to the police station so they can direct me home. I lost my passport. I need to know how to be able to say that, right? So we knew just very, very basic language. Our daughter was riding her bike with her friend that we had just met. They were also a missionary family living in their little neighborhood. And one day, Lacey and I are sitting down at the couch. We're practicing our Thai, speaking to each other in Thai in sentences. Well, we hear screaming like someone gets run over. It sounds like Leah, our oldest daughter. So I go out to check and see what it is. And I see Leah pulling her friend out of a car window, her foot on the door, pulling her friend out. This is what I remember. Brown, this is what I told the guard shack. Brown, Isuzu Trooper, plate number, male, female. They were Asian, so you can tell what I told them they look like. Clothing. I got on my motorcycle and chased them out, told that to the guard shack. Well, 3 days later, the chief of police shows up at our house and says, Mr. Toller, he knew my name, very clear English, said, thank you for reporting this to the guard shack. We arrested the couple 3 hours ago. Within 30 minutes of the arrest, they confessed to kidnapping 19 kids. I'm like, wow, that's fantastic. I'm glad I could help. He goes, you don't understand. We have found 9 of those children already in brothels around the city. I didn't know what a brothel was. So I had to ask. He did not explain it in English. He explained it in Thai. And let me tell you how they explain words in Thai. So this would be a upright table that you speak from. It's not a, what's this thing called? A lectern or a podium, right? That's how they explain it. So when he explained what a brothel was in descriptive format in Thai, he said in English, that would have been your daughter's life. I said, you said they kidnapped 19 kids. You found 9. Where are the other 10? They were sold from South Africa to the Philippines. I said, sold? He goes, yes, they have been sold probably for sex. So when you watch the movie, if you decide to watch the movie, the tent brothels that you see in the movie, those are real. The trap houses we have in the States, when we go to, one of the reasons why it was on the list, if we ever go to a trap house, or sometimes we have people who are in real estate or plumbing or electrical or whatever kind of house maintenance. We want to teach them how to identify these things, because when you go into apartment complexes or rental homes and you go, every bedroom, they had no furniture except a table with some chairs in the kitchen and mattresses on every floor. What do you mean by mattresses? Yeah, nothing else, mattresses, blankets and stuff, like there's 50 people living in the house together. There probably are. That needs to be reported to the police, because that's not normal. And so we have trap houses down the street from our outreach location, and I had to tell our law enforcement buddy, which one of the guys I do trust because I know him, went to church with him. He doesn't respond as quickly as I wish he could, but he's bound by being a police officer. I said, hey, that's a trap house right there. He's like, yeah, no, it's not. I'm like, yeah, it is. Go look. Just go watch. I get a call back. Hey, thanks for the tip. It is a trap house. Trap house is where drug dealers, it's somebody else's house. They don't rent it, they just confiscate it pretty much. They occupy it. They keep their drugs there, and they sell their drugs from there. And girls and guys who need their fix go there, and typically the girls will do any type of sexual favor to get the drugs that they need. And then the guys on outreach, which is one of the reasons why I asked the question, is if there are more, because the guys that are on outreach that we see, where they're going to get their drugs, is someone bringing them to the location, or are they going to get them? They're not going to that specific trap house, but they're going somewhere to get them. That's why we need to know what we can, right? Anyway, so it doesn't happen necessarily. Let me rephrase it. There's not men going hunting for their daughter that get kidnapped. It's extremely rare that it happens as far as the movie Taken. But the scenarios in there is a lot of reality in it. All right, we'll go to the next one. If she wanted out, she would leave. That's not true. Go to the next one. Victims always understand that they're being trafficked. Do you think that's true? No, they very rarely. And if they don't understand they're being trafficked, and we say, hey, this is what's happening to you, they will avoid the conversation. They will say, no, they're not being trafficked. And if they can't self-identify, we really can't help them, because the services that we provide for them are based on the information that they identify as a victim in this scenario. So all the trauma and all the abuse and all the survival is tied to them actually being exploited by somebody else, which means that they didn't have control of themselves, their life, their livelihood, their anything, right? So they have to admit that, which is why some of our girls, even if we get them out, if they can't self-identify, we should just leave them there. Because what's going to happen is they're going to run, and we're going to have to rescue them. And we've done that a bunch. We've taken girls out of the scenario, women out of the scenario, tried to get them into safe houses, our safe house, and then they run. Then they call back, and they say, I need to get out again. And then we go through this cycle 3 or 4 times. And then we discover we never asked the question, do you really understand the system you're living in? They never understood it. They just thought it was normal life. And so if you take them from the hell they're comfortable in and put them in the hell they're not comfortable in, you can't help them. Until they can identify, I have this problem and I want out, it's almost like salvation, right? If you don't know you're a sinner, you don't need salvation. If you don't know you're a traffic victim, you don't need services and help. If I just had a little bit of money and a safe place to live, I'd be fine. It never happens that way. It always goes back to some form of exploitation and them stuck in their scenario. Go to the next one. I just pretty much explained all that. Here's the reasons why. No, go back. And I've already talked about it a little bit. The reasons why they don't understand it is because the manipulation, grooming happens a lot online. I was even talking about that in the Roblox game. Psychological coercion, shame, the stigma of it, fear of retaliation happens a lot, especially with our girls on outreach. This is why law enforcement can't get victims to flip on their trafficker or even their Johns, because they're afraid something's going to happen to their children or their family or themselves if they don't get arrested, if they don't go to jail. And the reason why they have that fear is because it's real. It happens all the time when guys get out, because they don't keep them in jail, and while they get arrested, they bond out, or they're given bail, right? And so someone pays it and gets them out, and then they go back to the street, and they either kill them a lot. We've had the first 4 years we were doing outreach off of Wallace Road and off of Harding Road. We had, I think, 18 girls that we identified as being trafficked. Some of them wanted to get out, and they did. They were killed because they thought we were cops. They all think we're cops, all the traffickers and the people. You're experiencing that right now in some of the things that you're seeing with our people on the street. They think we're cops. We're trying to take their product, We're trying to evade or invade their system and their culture, and they don't want us to change it, right? They just, side note, they just really need Jesus, which is why a primary reason we go, prayer, support, how can we penetrate their heart with the gospel while we're identifying traffic exploitation and people who are doing the exploiting, right? That's what we're trying to look at. Go ahead and go to the next one. Things that may surprise you. Again, I already talked about she's not going to self-identify. They have children. Some of them are well educated. We've already had this conversation. One of our girls on the street, Christy, she's like, every time she sees me, she just wants to have a conversation with me. She's got a master's degree in business and something else that was like, I was really shocked. And I looked at her and I said, why are you living on the street? I was a heroin addict. Oh, okay, are you an addict now? She's like, no. I said, show me your arms. Okay, no marks, no tracks, no nothing. Okay, well, why are you still on the street? I'm just stuck here. I can't go back to my old life because I have to tell him what I was doing, what I am doing to survive. And that guy over there, I kind of like him. Like, what do you mean kind of like him? We're just kind of a couple. We're married. Street married or real married? Oh, we're street married. I'm like, okay. Well, Jeremy, that's his name, he died 6 months later. We have a conversation. I was like, hey, you're not stuck in this system anymore. Are you ready to get out? I can't. I don't think I can ever go back to that. So I try to inject, what about your degrees? What about some of your dreams that you have? Can we help you get back to that? She's like, no, I don't think I ever can. Why not? Because I'm not worth it. End of the conversation. We'll talk about other stuff. All frivolous, all surface level, all empty conversations. Because she doesn't want to get deep. The fear of those conversations are typically worse than staying in what they're in. Because then they have to admit to somebody that they allow these things to happen to them. All right, we'll go ahead. We'll go with that one. Why do we need advocates to do what we do? To understand the trauma. Everything I'm explaining, right, is story-based. This is not, I read a book that now I understand the trauma of a victim. I experienced it on the ground with our team and even myself. We need people who are trauma-informed and survivor-informed. Just because you have experienced trauma or understand trauma doesn't mean you understand what survivors need. Like, you can relate, but you can't help them out of the hole. You have to understand the psychology of a survivor and really what they need to get out. And it's extremely difficult. Stuart can attest to this. We've got women in the safe house. They've identified as victims. They've been trafficked, exploited, and we go through this 12 weeks course of helping them heal and recover. A semester is what we call, like a 12-week semester. And most of them will get through the 12 weeks and they're not ready to graduate. Why? Because they don't understand who they are, what they need. And when we're trying to uncover things, when we uncover certain things, what we see is explosion. I mean, aggressive anger, crying, blaming you, you're against me, it's all you people. So all they do is relocate their animosity and shame and guilt and stuff. They project it to somebody else. And now you're the problem. I'm fine. And you have to really understand that, because this is what typically happens. Either when those occur, our nature is defensive. So we punch back. What we've just done is we've just now abused the soul, and we don't even understand we did. That's what we just did. So we have to teach, especially people who are survivor informed, they're not angry with you. They're not mad at you. They may be sinning against you, but it's not because of you. So when they are projecting or arguing or fighting for their voice or for whatever they need, all they see is you. They can't see the line of people behind them that have traumatized them, hurt them, abused them. You're the person in front of them. And so if you are not allowing them to get to what they think they need, you now become the problem when it's just not true. And what a person who is survivor informed and not trauma informed has to do is go, and Lacey does a really good job of that, my wife. When the rant is over, she literally will look at them and say, "Are you done? None of that stuff that happened to you, I did. I didn't do any of that. Where can we have common ground that I didn't do those things? I'm trying to help you recover from those things. Are we good? Are we okay?" And it's every time. It's complete puddle in the floor crying, and you're right, it's not you. Most of the people that we bring in to work with us or volunteer with us, they don't get that point. When the sin comes at them, yes, they're actually sinning against you. You have to be able to, we call it secondary trauma. It is secondary trauma. It's exactly what it is. And it's you have to be a big person. You have to be a big, comfortable, confident person to deal with it. And you got to let the Holy Spirit really deflect a lot of that stuff. Because what they're really angry about is when you get down to the point of it and you go through the line of people that abuse, mom didn't provide for her, mom allowed dad to do something, or all the boyfriends to do something. When you compound all that stuff, when they're really angry, you got to look at them and say, "What do you think about God?" They have to not only self-identify, but they have to reconcile. God is real. He did not do these things. He is not the reason why. And He actually can and will heal. The will hasn't been broken yet, right? And so you got a lot of that. You got a lot of things to remove from the self-will of an individual. So early on, it's, I'm not a victim. Self-will, right? Then they realize, okay, I am a victim, and I can do this. I can recover from this. The truth is, no, you cannot. You have to have help. You have to have a guide help you through this journey. And then you have to reconcile your relationship with God. If you cannot do that third thing, I was going to do this somewhere else. I'm going to do it now. We identify victims in this way. They're a victim, they're a survivor, and they're an overcomer. Victims are who we see on the street. Survivors are people who get out of that life, get into a program, and they get some help, and maybe they can get a job and pay their rent. Overcomers really settle in, God didn't do it to me. He does love me. And everything that did happen to me can be turned to beauty for His purpose, for His will. That's who an overcomer is. There's a lady that goes to this church. She was a victim. She was a survivor. She got married, has got 4 kids. 2 kids in the life, 2 kids out of the life. She might actually be here today. She went through a training like this, and I was doing, I think, what Stuart was doing, clicking the thing while Lacey was doing the training. And Lacey, she told me afterwards, she goes, "I think she's really mad at me." I almost said her name. I said, "What do you mean?" She goes, "Yeah, when I got to this, things happen to you. You have to self-identify as a victim, that people victimized you and did things to you." She goes, I don't think she's going to serve with us or work with us. She's really angry and hurt." I said, "Okay, great." A week goes by, I get a phone call from her husband. "We have to sit down and talk." So we did. And at a Waffle House for 2 hours. Literally, this person who is a survivor just vomited all over me and Lacey. And when it was done, both Lacey and I, was like almost simultaneously, we did the same thing. We said, was that it? Do you have more? Because I can take more. And she's like, yeah, one more thing. Yeah, this. And Lacey said, I understand what you're going through. Those things that were done to you, some of them you may have let happen. She's like, I let all of it happen. I controlled all of it. She goes, no, somebody exploited your situation. She was homeless. She was on the street. Some guy, boyfriend, came into the scenario and provided all the things she needed, the drugs, the stuff. They were going to build a life together. They were going to have the perfect house with a white picket fence, all that stuff, the dreams that he talked about. None of it ever happened. And Lacey said, you are or were a victim. People exploited you. Yes, you stayed in it, but people exploited you for their benefit. And literally she lost it. Today, that person is an overcomer, and she has served, and is our on-call for our psych problems that we have at the Safe House. She's on the clinical advisory team to analyze what do we do with this person, what do we not do with this person. Amanda calls her quite often, hey, what do I do with this girl? She's on these drugs. This is the behavior. What do we do with her? She is now an overcomer because she settled that one thing. That one, God didn't do it, and two, other people did exploit her. And so you have to navigate the very narrow pathway to healing very carefully, which is why we don't just take any schmo off the street or on outreach to say, you're going to help us with healing survivors, because it's very delicate. You're dealing with people's hearts. Broken, compound, complex trauma that is just heaped and heaped and heaped on their soul over years. And it's just a very difficult environment. That's why we need people who can do what we do. Lifespan of a victim is about 7 years in the life. Being trafficked about 7 years. Being controlled by somebody else. Either they die by drugs, they're murdered, or they just disappear into some form of survival sex the rest of their life. They typically don't get out. So the lifespan of a victim is about 7 years. Go ahead. I've already explained all this. Go ahead and go to the next one. The red flags. Remember I told you about making eye contact. This is different from domestic violence abuse, right? Domestic violence victims typically don't make eye contact either. But when you start layering these on, then you can identify some of the realities that's going on in the street. So it won't make eye contact. The other person speaks for them. She doesn't want to make the partner or whoever it is angry. She doesn't have identification. Stories don't line up. Where are you from? Role play for a second. Where are you from? Oh, I'm from Mississippi, but we were in Atlanta for a little bit, and then in Chattanooga, and now we're here in Nashville. Oh, okay. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. I don't have work yet. Oh, how are you paying for the hotel or whatever? I'll just do some side jobs here and there. Oh, okay. Where did you work last? Oh, I was in Atlanta. Like, where did you work? Did you work at a MAPCO? Did you work at Wawa's serving those awesome shakes that they have? I don't know if Atlanta has that or not. I think it's Florida. No. She can't articulate a place where she worked, a physical job. That's a red flag. Then as you build a relationship, she's like, do you think somebody can take me to get my ID? Oh, you don't have your ID? No, I lost it. Oh, okay, you lost it? Did you give it to somebody? Well, I mean, yeah, I gave it to whatever his name is. Oh, he didn't give it back? Yeah, no. Yeah, we're not on speaking terms. He's in the next room. What do you mean not on speaking terms? Just ask him. No, I can't. It'll make him mad. Oh, okay. Well, we're not going to bring that up. I'm not going to go over to the door and be like, hey, Johnny, she needs her ID. Can I get it? No, I'm not going to do that. Because now she's just told things about him to a group of people he doesn't know. When we leave, she's going to get the snot beat out of her, probably, if not worse. Because now she's just divulged sensitive information that she shouldn't have, right? So, red flags. Yeah, you got self-harm, branding. Branding is either a tattoo or a mark. Some of our girls have, it was Kay I asked about a burn. She said she was branded, right? So I asked her, do you have a tattoo? She said, no, I have, it's a mark. I said, oh, is it a burn mark? She goes, yeah, and I don't remember where she said it was. But it was in the middle of her talking about being pregnant and all this stuff. She was talking about the other girl. And I was like, okay. Very quickly got off that conversation because people were paying attention and listening and watching. And so we just moved right on. Where's the mark? Who did it? Why? The reason why to brand, we brand cattle, horses, or cows, because that's my property. That's the only reason why you brand something. All right, go on to the next one. A lot of the, I'll just talk about it real quick. A lot of the girls will have tattoos on their eyebrows, their face right here, or their neck. Neck is one of the most common ones. It'll have like Shane on it. Who's Shane? Oh, he's my whatever. Is your boyfriend? Is your dad or whatever? Yeah, that happens a lot, so you got to ask those things. Again, medical red flags. When we do trainings for medical facilities or even EMTs, EMS firefighters, we go through these as well. It's really important. So, Tracy, look at those red flags. Did any of our girls on outreach exhibit any of those?
Yep. 1, 2. Oh, I mean, yeah. 3.
How many of them have a mental health crisis every Thursday we're there?
Well, yeah. But
They know-
we've seen bruises, we've seen burns. Like the first one was like a girl that said that she was thrown in a fire.
Mm-hmm. Remember the girl, Leia, that got beat a month ago?
Yeah, it wasn't that long ago. Kay
Okay.
was pistol whipped and choked. Lots of drugs. Well, show.
Kay's pregnant too, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, now look at those and think of Denise.
Yeah.
What has Denise now done to prevent from those continuing to occur? What did she say the last time we were there talking with Kay? We were having a context, just so y'all understand, we were having a conversation about a boyfriend who has now,
She's back with him.
oh, she's back with him. Okay, great. So we're having a context, that context is boyfriend beat, raped, hurt her. Now he's with another girl. Now they're back together. Apparently I didn't know that.
She's pregnant.
Pregnant. We think this room is being used as a local makeshift brothel. The girl who lives in that room, her name is Denise. We're having this conversation of abuse, hurt, pain, pregnancy, whatever, and she makes a statement of how she loves a certain type of sex. You missed it. You were talking to Kay, and I'm the only guy there. I'm thinking, okay, what do I do with this? So I look at her, I said, Denise, really? She goes, yeah. I said, a couple months ago, I thought you were like trying to get out because stuff was happening to you like all the time. She goes, yeah, it's okay, it's fine now, I love it. I'm like, wow. So now she loves it to protect herself from having all this stuff. Her room's the hot spot. One of the three. And so in order to prevent these things from happening, we've identified all these from happening. In her specifically. Now she's figured out a way to live in the system. So no longer are they red flags, but her reaction to those is different now, right? And so how do we help her out? She loves it. She's not getting out. She's going to live in that scenario until she dies or something. How do you invade that mental state? You got to speak truth.
Like it is what it is.
But who are you going to do it to her with all the other ears listening? It's really difficult, right? We'll blow our cover. Or when we leave Thursday and don't come back until Thursday, someone's going to get hurt.
Speak the other truth.
Yeah.
Jesus truth.
Yep. So we are pulling different cards out often to try to figure out how to not manipulate. What's the best avenue into her? What is she going to hear? What truth is she going to hear that not just goes into her brain but settles in her heart? It's really difficult, which is why you have to not just understand trauma, you have to understand how to navigate the survivor pathway.
Elliot's really good at that, using scripture to counter even people that we don't think are.
Who's good at that?
Is it Elliot? Right, Elliot?
Oh, Elliot, yeah. Long-haired Elliot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like only a couple times I've been with him, but he's really good. People will say something that's obviously not okay, and he throws it right to scripture. What's God says about that?
He's pretty good at that.
He's phenomenal at it. Does it like it's just second nature.
It'd be an encouragement to us to make sure we study more scripture and have more scripture in mind when we're doing outreach. All right, we'll go on. 88% of victims came in contact with healthcare system while being trafficked. It's just a side note to remember, which is why it's so important to have conversations. If we can, call EMT, EMS, police, if necessary, social workers to come and respond. You've probably had the experience where you've had to, and it's been good. You probably had experience where it's been really, really bad because they can deny care, right? I don't want care. All right, we'll go on to the next one. So this is an average statistic. 85% of victims have substance abuse during their trafficking exploitation period. Our experience has been 100% of those who come into our safe house or on the street, they're either alcohol, some type of drug, all of it. It's all there, right? Significant issues with that. Okay, go on to the next one. Oh, I can't even read that one. Oh, barriers from survivors being provided care. They're living in survival mode. I had to explain that. Denise, this is her. That's why it's going to be so difficult for her to get out. She will not self-identify. You've got co-occurring disorders. So Denise, she's a little mentally disabled. I don't know if it's trauma, abuse. Probably is. Also, she has a little bit of a meth hunch, so I think she's probably on meth.
She says it's crack.
Crack, okay, so she has a very specific one she likes. So you've got all those occurring. Transportation, unstable housing. So if a girl gets out, so let's just talk about outreach for a second. Those of you that don't know, about 3 miles down the interstate here, about 3 miles down the interstate, we have an outreach location. It is a hotbed of criminality, drugs, homeless populations, transient populations. Maybe they're homeless. They probably want to identify as being homeless or unhoused. I think that's the correct, safe way to say it. People who are looking for drugs, people who are selling drugs. You got type of gangs. It's It's in a military term, it's a cluster. Let's just define it that way. Bad spot. So we go there every Thursday. And we come across girls who we know are being trafficked and exploited inside the compound and also sometimes outside the compound. If we identify them as a victim, which we already have, and if they identify as a victim, if we get them out of that scenario and go to help or services, they lose their apartment or their lease. They lose it, right? If they're not there for 30 days, I think it's what it is, that their lease is terminated. So why would I go to a place where I don't know how long's your program? I get that all. That's what Christy would say. How long's your program? Well, it's 90 days to 2 years. You choose. She's like, so I got to be in a program for 2 years? No, you don't have to be. But we provide up to 2 years for you to heal and recover. Like if you needed to stay in the program for 2 years, all of your expenses and food and transportation and doctors and stuff, we got it covered. So I got to be there for 2 years? All right, Christy, come back. Do you need the help or want the help? Yes. Do you want to go to the program? But I have to be there for 2 years? No. You don't have to be there for 2 years. You can be if you need to be. It's like there's something stuck in there. They don't, and I understand it, they need to have security, especially for women. I know one of the greatest, best need for a woman is certainty, which directly connected to, I'm trying to say their word together, safety. Certainty, safety. Am I going to have a place that's mine where I'm not going to be abused and hurt? If they cannot answer affirmatively yes, the answer is always no, I'm going to stay on the street where I can control this environment. So you've got the unstable housing situation. But when you say, we can get you to a place that's stable and safe and all the things, what you're telling them is, I'm going to take you to the North Pole and you're going to meet Santa. Because he's real. That's what you're telling them. They just don't get it, right? Again, lack of trust in professionals. They don't trust us. When we go on outreach, they don't trust police. They don't trust the EMT workers. They don't trust the social workers. When you listen to them talk to the social worker peer support lady who's there on staff, they don't trust her. They hear information from us, and because we don't just provide them the resource, like right now, here's A, B, and C. If you just do these A, B, and C, you're going to live on the beach forever and listen to the ocean, and you're going to be fine. We can't do that. And so they have to go through this very difficult process of they have control in A, and they have no clue what B looks like, and they don't have any idea of what the journey from A to B looks like. And so their answer is always, I'm just going to stay here. Because you can't give me affirmation that everything's going to be fine and safe, because everybody else, this is where history comes into play, all the aces and everything else, everybody else that has said the same things never followed through, or it never came true. So you have that scenario as well. All right, go ahead and go to the next one. I probably have defined a lot of this. Go on, maybe it'll... yeah, I've already explained most of these. Oh, no, actually, go back. Yeah, I didn't do some of this. I explained it a little bit in kind of story, but let's get some bullet points here. Trauma-informed approaches used with. Go down, you've got domestic violence, rape and sexual assault, kidnapping, child sexual abuse, abandonment. They've experienced all of this. And so you're having to overcome a lot of these things at the same time. Now over here, trafficking-informed approach, all the above, which is over there, cumulative effect. You got the ACE score, 6 or higher. Is it an 8? Is that the highest score you can get on an ACE? 10? Okay, it's a 10. What that means is when you go back through the chart of have you ever experienced, did your parents fight a lot? Was your dad in jail? Did your parents was there infidelity in the house? Was there verbal abuse? Was there drug use in the house? Was your dad an alcoholic? Was your dad a workaholic and was never home? You know, that's abandonment. Huh? Neglect, that's a neglect, right? So if you have those markers of ACEs, and so you have to use that as well just to be able to help identify some of the trauma. Again, it's compound, complex trauma, just adds and adds and adds. So when you find one, you typically find another, and you don't just get to, okay, A through, or 1 through 26 of things we've identified. We're gonna go 26, we're gonna heal that one and go to 25. Typically what happens, and Stuart can probably attest to this, we identify an issue and this one, they want to focus on number 3. And you're like, we really need to focus on this one. Like, we need this. No, they want to focus on 3 because that's what they need. Let's just say abandonment, right? They have fear of abandonment. So they want to work on that one. And we're like, it's actually not your problem. Your problem is you need confidence in this. So we're going to start with, can you keep your room clean? Can you do your own laundry? Can you cook your own food? Again, back to those ACEs, no one taught them these things. And so not only do they have the compound complex trauma, but no one taught them how to be a human or an adult. And so now you have, I don't know what to do in life, and I've got all this trauma, and so these just help identify some of the issues that we need to deal with, help identify what's going on inside them. Okay, let's go to the next one. Why does this happen? What's the driving force behind this atrocity? We talk a lot about pornography and sexual addiction. This is an old statistic, but I think they're still the same. You've got 85% of laymen who are struggling or admit to struggling with pornography. 65% of pastors struggling with on a daily basis, and 30% of women. This is not outside the church, this is inside the church. Boys are introduced to pornography between the ages of 7 and 9, and it's on, a lot of it's video games. They see it in video games, or they see it in apps. They see it in, so, disclosure. My phone listens to me. I talk a lot about sex, because I fight human trafficking, sex trafficking. Have lots of conversations about drugs and abuse and all the other kind of things. So if I open up my app, my Facebook, let's just use that one. The types of advertisements that I get or the things that pop up are not the same as Lacey's. Probably not the same as Brian's. Because he's not sitting there having a conversation about human trafficking, about all this stuff, with the phone sitting on the table like I am. So anytime I open it up, I see it.
I get Milwaukee advertisements.
Maybe I should do that more. So, if my phone is listening to me and is my enemy, it's not a tool for good use, it's really an enemy, I know our children are as well, and so are people that we're trying to serve and people that we work with. So, that's just a reality. And kids are doing it let me rephrase that. Kids are online, playing games, having conversations with people, chatting on Roblox, and anybody can send them a link. Anybody can send them information. It doesn't have to be just Roblox, it can be any of them. America is the #1 consumer of pornography. Every time we have a victim, and we've seen it on outreach, we will ask them if pictures or video were taken of them in their exploitation. And every one of them says yes. Some of them came to us because they were being exploited on some online format. Statistics are 90% of victims have had either pictures or video pornographic made of them, and either used it for exploitation, like to control them, blackmail, or they were selling it on something. And the more clicks you get, the more advertisements. It's just like YouTube. If you watch YouTube, or even now Facebook, you're watching a little reel on Facebook, and now you get some advertisement for Milwaukee tools. It's the same thing. If you're on those platforms, they use the same algorithms that everybody else uses to make money. And so all of them have said, everyone that we have served, 100% of them have had, again, video or photos taken of them while in exploitation. Some of them for the purpose of blackmail to get them exploited, to make them exploited, or to keep them in exploitation, or it was in the process of it happening. But nation or country worldwide, it's about 89% to 90% of victims have some form of digital exploitation. And so that is, I'll stop here for a second just to, it's a statistic that people are watching porn. Porn is, well, right there, $287 billion estimated. This is Fight the New Drug. It's a great website. They're not a Christian or faith-based organization, but they have really good information on how to fight the addiction to pornography, because it is just like a drug. I'm going to explain that here in a few minutes. Man, I was going to say something. You read right there, if you take the porn industry and you take its revenue and make it add in NFL, NBA, Major League Baseball together, it's actually greater. Pornography is greater than all those together. So it's a moneymaker. Maybe within the last 4 years, maybe it's been longer. Because of what I do a lot of research on trying to figure out what the porn industry is doing. Got to be very careful about how you figure that out, right? Because you get all kind of stuff. So if I'm interested in something, I'll either have Amanda on our team or Lacey literally pull up stuff or search it because I don't want to see it. So I'll have Lacey or Amanda do it. Or I'll send Brian a message and say, Bryant, he's an analyst pretty much is what he is. I'll send him a message and say, hey, I need you and Rebecca, his wife, to do some research for me. And what's great about the way he has built his analytic research system is it hides video and pictures. It will explain it, like girl on bed, and right. That's all I need to know, right? It'll explain the image, but anytime it does that, I can have him do that. One of the things I was trying to figure out is someone investing in pornography? And I think it was about 4 or 5 years ago, I found out this guy took to Wall Street and to NASDAQ, and what's the other one? What's the other trading? Yeah, all those. Pretty much took a portfolio of porn investments where I can invest in pornography. So website, so no one's going down to, well, maybe they still are, but no one's driving down to the adult bookstore now to get magazines or DVDs anymore. It's all online. And so how do you monetize that? Well, a group of guys figured out a way to monetize it. So if I wanted to invest in porn, I could pull up, I could call my broker and say, hey, I want to invest in blank company that's producing these things and get a return on my investment. And about 5 years ago, some guy effectively started a porn investment, I don't even know what you call it, group. And so what I do know about it is, I don't say it just because someone's investing in porn. People who are trafficking girls are producing that material and putting in those systems so they can make money. And as sick as it is occurring and happening on a consistent basis. Let's go to the next one.
There's actually a lady, do you know who she is? I always say her name wrong. Layla Mickelwaite. She wrote a book called, Take Down Pornhub.
Oh, yeah. I didn't know the name, but
Phenomenal, and she explains how, the porn industry, especially the online ones, they're not, verifying consent. Verifying age or consent, and how she's gone through like this whole thing, and like 80% of the stuff on there was not verified, or consented to. And then there's like actual legit crime scenes that are going on. Like 80% of it had to be taken down because of the crimes that were being committed, but it took her forever and ever and ever to get any movement from, I think the company's owned in Canada, for them to actually make the company do anything. And they're still not doing it. There are some states in the United States that, essentially they've taken down the website from those states, because of it, but they're like the number one. They pretty much own the majority of the online porn.
yeah,
Great book
They won
to
the
learn.
federal case, which is why states are doing it. So.
Correct,
Pornhub
yeah.
said, well, it's an invasion of our customers and actors' privacy. And the federal government sided with them and said, you're right, privacy of the individual. So then it went to the states, and now, like Tennessee is one of them.
Yeah.
There's several states that are like,
yeah. There are several websites now that where you could used to just access it. Anybody could access that porn site. It has a disclaimer now that says, due to the privacy of whatever. Man, what did Bryant say? I gotta remember what it says.
it's telling you to go to your local representatives to protest it. So you
Yeah.
type in these websites.
Yeah, but you can get into it, like if you agree to the
It's like ID verification.
what?
The verification.
Yeah, the verification. So if you agree to do that, you, I think now Bryant told me that you put your driver's license in now or your birth date and something else, and there's other ways to verify that you're a legit adult to be able to access these things. And, but even still, the content still, one of the other reasons why I was saying it is because the content is produced by victims.
Yep.
Or produced of victims.
Yep.
And so we've had several girls come into the Safe House that have said, can you help me get this stuff down? And the answer is no.
Yeah, they won't, that was
I
the
mean,
other thing,
we-
is
we don't
they
make
take
that much
videos
money.
down,
Yeah,
so
they
they're
don't.
being re-victimized
Yep.
over and over and over again, and people are making money off of it.
Correct, yeah.
A lot of the popular stars from like last 10, 20 years, now that they're getting out of the industry, there's a major movement from a lot of these previous porn stars that are combating the system because they're like, look, it's junk.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, I got rich doing it. They're like, but I was high the
Yeah,
whole
they're-
time. I was.
There's a friend of mine, you may want to interview him on your podcast. It might be good if you want to go that route. His name is Joshua Broom. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. He's a pastor now. He was a porn star for 6 or 8 years, produced a ton of porn. And then he got out of the life, and he's married and got 4 kids now, and he's a pastor. And he talks aggressively about this. I'll do that. Remind me to come back to Proverbs 7 at the end of my thing. Okay. Anyway, I want to make sure we stay on track. Just don't forget Proverbs 7.
Again, you need to go.
Yeah, I know you do. You're good.
Sorry, guys.
Oh, you were supposed to wait for something offensive, remember?
Huh?
No,
Oh.
you're good.
No, I actually got pictures.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you, guys.
So this right here says that 66% of male participants, 39% of female participants viewed pornography at least once in the past year. This is people that did the survey of in church, in churches of porn addiction. Let's go ahead and go to the next one. The video probably is not going to work because I didn't have time to upload it, so that's fine. The main point is, even within the church, we could combat human trafficking, right? We could swing the numbers out of the millions if the church would just stop doing porn. Simple. I mean,
Watching porn.
that's
Okay.
watching, participating. It's not just men, right? It's, you know, almost 90% of men in the church are doing it, are saying that they're participating in viewing porn. 30 to 40% of pastors are saying they struggle with it on a weekly basis. 30% of women now in the church are participating, watching, viewing with their husband, maybe not with their husband or whatever, maybe not even married, having this issue. The reason why I say that is porn use is an addiction. It releases the same chemicals into your brain as heroin, crack, cocaine does. And so when you start taking the drug, which is why it degrades so much from just, I saw a nude person, to I'm watching extremely deviant porn, and then I need to go buy a person. And one of the reasons, you want to shut the door? Yeah. One of the reasons why this is important to me is because when I go to Thailand, the, what do you call, the flight attendant, is that what they're called now? Stewardesses? We used to call them stewardesses. Flight attendant, okay. When I would be going to Thailand or the Philippines, you can hear guys joking about where they're going to go buy sex. And sometimes on some of my trips, I have guys saying rude and crude things to some of the flight attendants, attractive flight attendants, and they know why, the flight attendants know why these men are going to these countries. They're not going to go look at the pyramids or to the temples or to the whatever. They're going to buy, it's sex tourism, that's what it's called. And so it's high level. Well, one time on my trip, this lady, I was with another guy, two other men. Jeremy Mack is one of them that you know, and then another, actually Richard from Alabama was with us on this trip. So 3 men were sitting there together talking about going to Thailand. Well, this flight attendant was rude. She was angry and she was upset. She was disgusted by our presence. And I could sense it. So I asked her a question. I said, hey, how often do you do this flight? She goes, yes, I do this all the time. About every 2 days I'm in and out going to Bangkok and back. I said, oh, okay, great. I said, why do you think we're on the plane? She goes, oh, I know why. I said, I don't think you do. She goes, yeah, you're going to the red light district just like everybody else. I said, I will go take these 2 men to see the red light district because this is what we do. And she started crying, and she said every man that ever is like on this trip by himself or with a group of men, they're going to Thailand to buy girls. And some of them will say things about the young girls. And it's because we have this problem. As a country, we have this problem as men. And so the church needs to talk more about it. And fathers need to do a better job of teaching their kids what proper sex is. God designed it for a great purpose. Intimacy, unity, trust, but, children. And it's important that we don't shrink away from what society has done to it, but we stand firm in the truth of what God designed it for, and we teach that to our children. Again, because our children, they're going to be adults. They're not going to be children forever. So you need to start early. In our house, when you turn 8, we start having conversations about sex. And I've primed the pump a little bit around 6. But by 10, they know. Because I don't want somebody else to teach them. The culture, schools, even if you homeschool your kids, society is going to teach your kids and grandkids about sex. And it's not going to be healthy. And then you've got people who are addicted for some reason, who they continue the cycle. And once it's not enough, they go back and get more. They go back and get more. And it just gets worse and worse and worse until they have to go buy somebody. That's just the way the cycle is. then they say that, money is the number one reason for divorce in America, right? And infidelity. I would say that this is directly connected to it as well. Chris Brandt, I think is his name. What's his name? I'll think of it. Something Brandt. He's an actor, kind of a comedian. Russell Brandt. That's his name, Russell Brandt. He got out of the industry. He got out of making movies and doing all kinds of things because he literally said, "Hey, I was a porn addict. I was a drug addict, and it is a public health crisis." That's what he says. And the left. I mean, I think he just came to Christ about maybe 18 months ago, 2 years ago. He was hardcore against the whole porn industry, and everybody on the left hated him for it. Then he came to Christ about, 18 months ago, and all he does is now he just goes around, tells his testimony, talks about how Jesus changed his life, and he's out of the life, if you will. He was totally wild. Yeah, men, women, orgy parties, all kind of stuff. He did it all, and he radically came to Christ. If you listen to his story about coming out of this cycle, he went into depression, he went into empty hole, all kind of stuff. And then when he started figuring out, Fight the New Drug was one of the system that helped him identify that he had an issue. And he talks a lot about it. I wish I could interview him and have conversations with him. And he's a highly intelligent British, I think, but he is actively articulating that pornography is not good for society or culture, and it's bad for families. And he's a really good, honest guy. All right, let's go to the next one. Yeah, you can't see this one either. Those videos are actually pretty good. If you want them, I can make sure I send them to you. Let's go to the next one. So I've shared a lot of information, and I've seen faces, and some of you that have heard some of this before have heard some of this information. Some of it's probably new content. Compassion is an awareness of suffering and a desire to alleviate it, right? But it requires something. It requires movement, advocacy, action. This is what we've learned over the years. I've seen a lot of people sit in front of these trainings, and I'm gonna preface this. Not everybody is called to this ministry. I get that. Maybe a secondary or tertiary or kind of a connected to the movement of counter-human trafficking. Not everybody is supposed to do what Rescue One does. I understand that and get that. But compassion, if it doesn't move, if it doesn't cause you to pray or support or go or learn more ways to get involved, all it is pity. Nowhere in Scripture do you see where Jesus looked at the crowd with pity and went on. His love drove him to compassion, and he did things. And this is what Christ is calling those who he has created and called to fight this problem, to do it with compassion, which is so important to understand, not just trauma, not just how survivors heal, but learning biblical tactics of confrontation, I say tactics, it's theology. It's literally the Bible lived through you. That's what compassion is. And don't get blinded by other organizations that are faith adjacent. Stay away from those groups, because they're not filled with the purpose and love of Christ for the purpose and love of Christ. They have ulterior motives. They have unmet expectations, and they typically do the counter-trafficking ministry. They do it wrong. they end up hurting people, which is why sometimes we get those calls that I was at this organization and now we need another organization. And people who come in to work with us, we're faith-based. We're not just faith-based, we are faith-reliant, because we cannot do this without Christ. They don't stay long, which is, I'm glad to that, because I don't have time to deal with your mess anyway, because if we're not going in the same direction, then we're not going to be able to work together. But anyway, I just wanted to share that motionless compassion is not compassion, it's pity. So I encourage you to utilize, if God's calling you into this, to find where you fit. And with that, let's go on to some of the next things. Rescue One exists to take restoration to the trafficked. We have another tagline, freedom for life. That's what we do. It's not just rescue from the trafficking or rescue from the bad situation. It's we are trying to arrest the heart and mind so we can have a clear conversation about God. And sometimes that is almost immediate that we can have that conversation, and sometimes it just takes, for outreach, I know it takes years to be able to break down some of those walls. Because everybody that's come with a church, again, the rescue mission policy, the way they do it is, I have a gift for you. If you'll sit there and let me preach at you, then I'm going to give it to you. I don't like that because it's contingent on, it's leverage. That's what traffickers do. I'm going to exploit something for my benefit, for your benefit, almost like a Jerry Maguire. I help you, help me, help you. That doesn't work that way. A servant just comes and says, I have a gift for you. Here, take the gift. You want to listen to me? Listen to me. If you don't, that's fine. That's between you and the Lord. But at some point, we're going to have a conversation. Like Raymond, before he left, is he gone? Okay. Before Raymond left, I don't know if you noticed this, that when they were sitting over there beside the little light stand with the little police lights. I looked at him and I said, hey, so you've been here for a year. You talked a lot about Christ. You say you have Bible studies in your room. What Jesus do you teach people? He couldn't answer the question. I said, Raymond, I don't really think you know Jesus. How dare you? That's what he said. I said, this is the last time I'm going to see you. I'm not going to have another opportunity to talk to you about Christ. I said, we've seen things, we've noticed things in and around your room that doesn't match what you say. So what Jesus do you teach? He didn't have an answer. So I presented the gospel to him. If he didn't want to respond, that's okay. Did I give away Rescue One? Did I say, I know what we're looking for? I've seen you have guys in your room that didn't belong there. We know that you were moving some drugs or you were hiding things, doing this. I didn't say any of that. The last time I had a conversation with him was about Jesus. He hugged me after the conversation and said, I hope I get to see you again. And thank you for this conversation. It was one of the most meaningful ones I've had here. Great. Is he going to come to Christ? I don't know. It's not my responsibility. It's Jesus's actually. It's not mine. But we take restoration. And when I say restoration, what I mean is we take Jesus to the trafficked. That's who restoration is. It's Jesus. Go on, Stuart. Our strategy, our efforts, our initiatives to counter human trafficking is prevention, rescue, or restore. Those are the, I don't even know, that's the format, the method of entry into someone's life. So on outreach, prevention, we're trying to keep trafficking from happening on outreach, but we're also identifying it as well. And so we're connecting prevention and rescue by trying to provide, we do some crisis response. We try to do some advocacy as well. We're trying to help safe exit strategies, which is why we've got 4 women, maybe 6, who we know we need to get out of this where they're being trafficked on this outreach location, right? How do we penetrate the area, keep everybody safe? We know we got guns. We've seen guns laying on the table, on the bed. We know we've seen, oh, we got cocaine, there's lines on the table. We know we got meth. We know we got all kind of stuff happening. How do we keep our people safe? We have a way to do it. How do we also identify those victims that need to come out and convince them, I'll use this term, manipulate them in a positive way, for them to be able to say, this is not a safe environment, I need to get out, and if I could, I would, right? So you've got those kind of connected together. And restore, so prevention is easy. Rescue is actually easy, because you get a phone call, or we get a girl that says, I want to go. So you have a team, they come do this thing, and they take them out. Once they get to the apartment, or, right, they get to the apartment or to the hotel because the other apartment's full or not available or whatever, once we get them there and they settle in, you're like, what happens? That's the hard part. That's where the work actually really begins. And everything else I've said prior to that, if you don't have the context of that being now your DNA, the guide to restoration, that's who you are to that person, you're not gonna guide them to restoration properly. And sometimes you identify, once you get them there, they really don't want help. They needed a safe space, they needed to disconnect from this person, they needed some food, and now they're just gonna go to wherever, they're just gonna go back to something, which is okay. That actually is okay. Their journey of restoration is theirs, and they have to own it. You can't force it on them. They have to be able to go, I'm a victim, I need help, and I'm willing to submit or surrender to the process because I have no clue. We call it like the Everest climb. I've never been on Mount Everest. I would love to go. But they have people who are called Sherpas. They are expert mountain climbers. They live there. They know the terrain. They know that this glacier is going to move and now it's going to be different in like 24 hours. They know the mountain. Well, that's what restoration practitioners are. We know what the mountain looks like. We know that when that explosion happens, that we're going to see no movement for 2 or 3 weeks of that survivor. And then we have to adjust the whole house around that because we can't drive them into recovery. We have to wait for them to heal. And so sometimes we have this thing called base camp. Let's let you sit in base camp. Come to the meetings, do some of the program. We're going to let you rest for a little bit because you need to rest. And so we have a lot of that as far as restoration. Those are the 3 ways that we engage into a continuum of care. Let's go to the next one, Stuart. Everything that I've kind of explained today, we have and are doing it in these locations. Ukraine, I don't know why. Oh, it's right. The color's bad. I was going to say that should be yellow. We have a missionary family who has been there for 20 years, who we partner with, and every once in a while, Archna, her short name is Archie, she will call me and say, hey, we see this, this, and this, and can you help me? And so they live just north of Moldova, 3 hours south of Kiev, and they are doing what Rescue One does as far as with students in schools. They go to some of the red light districts. They help with right now the trauma recovery from many of the girls who are results from what's still going on in Ukraine with Russia, the whole war there. In Thailand, we have a missionary there in Chiang Mai where we actually used to live, and this is funny, when missionaries go, they always go, what did you do? Okay, perfect. It just warmed up. It warmed up. So, just squirrel. She went to be a missionary. She was going to teach. I can probably do the rest. I can see that one. She was going to teach English in a drop-in center, and she was going to build a relationship with some of the girls there. The red light district is here. One of the main red light districts is here. The little drop-in center is right there on the corner of the moat, and that's what she was going to do. She calls me 2 months in and says, hey, can I go take Muay Thai classes? I'm like, why? I'm like, sure, why? She said, well, I don't feel safe. And we sent her with a team, and that team, they didn't stay. And so we said, we're going to bring you back home. She goes, no, I don't want to come home. Okay, fine, we'll leave you there. We need to connect you with an organization. We did that. So we gave her pretty much to them. She said, but you're still my accountability partner, and you're responsible for me. So can I take Muay Thai? Yes, sure. For safety and other things. Okay, the first year, she takes Muay Thai classes. This is kickboxing, if you don't know what that is. And Thai style. The art of 8 limbs. Yeah. So, and she is 90 pounds, 100 pounds maybe, shorter than me. And she's a fireball anyway. She's like 22, 23 years old. Well, she learns Muay Thai. She gets in the process of learning. One of the ways it was helpful for her to learn the language is because the instructor taught in Thai. She had to respond in Thai, so it's called immersion, right? So if you ever do missions, this is immersion. Okay, fine. This is the culture she's in. Also, in the red light district, around all these bar clubs, they're called sex bars. In the middle is a Muay Thai arena. And so people are fighting all the time, every weekend, these big fights, whatever. A year goes by. The instructor says, I think you'd be a good Thai fighter. I get a message, Daniel, can I do my first fight? I'm like, first fight? I said, I need you to sell this to me. I said, your parents are here in Murfreesboro. I'm responsible for you, and I'm not in Thailand. And if something happens to you, I'm 4 days away. So explain this to me. She goes, well, whatever you call him, not sensei, but master says, in order for me to continue to learn, I need hand-to-hand combat. Okay, fine. Are you fighting other girls? Yes. Are you sparring? Yes. So it's not like a tournament. She said, no. Okay, fine. If you're okay with it, I'm going to call your dad in Murfreesboro before I say yes to this. I'm going to have you sign a waiver, and we're going to see what Dad says. Dad is like, oh, yeah, that's my girl. If you want to keep her on your team, you've got to let her do this. I'm like, okay, fine. We'll do this. This is what happens. She spars. She ends up kicking. She won against the #1 female in Thailand on a spar, which is, it's like 3/4 of the way fight. It's not a whole fight. She knocked the snot out of this girl. And so the instructor says, I think you should do this. So she goes to a debut. And I think she has now 23 fights. She's lost 2. But it was because her eye got so busted she couldn't see both of them. Which is fine. Here's why. The women who are the dates and working in the sex club see her every weekend at the gym, at the drop-in center, and in the arena. We call that a platform. She has opened the door to share the gospel with hundreds just because of this scenario. And she is phenomenal, one, as a phenomenal fighter, but also everything she does is Christ-directed. I can help you out. And the amount of girls coming from the red light district to the drop-in center on a weekly basis has skyrocketed. She's having more opportunities to share the gospel with those girls and get them out of that lifestyle just because she became a Thai kickboxer. So I say that to say, you use what's in your bag. Those are the tools that she had. She already did taekwondo and other stuff when she was a kid, so she already knew how to spar and fight a little bit. This is a different thing. She might end up going professional. Who knows? It doesn't matter. But that's what she's doing in Thailand. She's doing a great job at it. Oh, you can't see anymore. The Philippines and the, Yeah, he does. Anyway, you can't go to the next one, can you, Stuart? You can turn them back on. Just hit the power button. It should come back on.
You had to get the remote first.
I can't even see what that one is. I don't know my slides.
Rescue Global.
12:03 p.m.
12:03 p.m. Can you advance it?
So helpful.
It didn't advance.
When you say she can take them to the drop-in center, what does that mean?
So they have livelihood classes there, which means they are teach some other form of work. They have English programs there that they do. So they do immersion style as well, English. Sometimes they have some crafts. They provide some food sometimes.
Is this something that you sponsor, or is it a Rescue One thing?
So Rescue One has done that and does that in the Philippines. The other organization was about to close down their drop-in center because they weren't having any impact. It was also all Thai women. And there wasn't a missionary or an international person there until she started volunteering there. And so it's not Rescue One sanctioned. And she also raised about $800 a month for her mission impact. So part of her support goes to help fund the project that she pretty much runs now there in Chiang Mai. So I guess the answer is yes and no. They were closing it down, but with her energy, they were able to reopen and do it some more. I'm going to get my computer because there's some stuff I need to finish. I don't know why it didn't advance. How many more slides do I have left? Oh, yeah. Maybe it just overrode itself. All right, let's see. How far am I? Oh, yeah, I need to do that. That slide was all who we partner with, local police, Sheriff's Department, TBI, FBI, all the three-letter agencies. Actually, we've done some stuff with Homeland Security and CIA, but not a lot. They're a difficult group to work with. As of January of this year, survivors that we've impacted is almost 13,715. Therapeutic services that we've provided is 21,000 or over 21,000. Days of restorative care so we've been in operation since 2011. And we didn't really start, so I actually don't know what we did from 2011 to 2013. So there's 2 years, 2011 and 2012. I don't even know what we did. We just did stuff. And then we realized we probably need to kind of start tallying these things because we're realizing if I do like direct advocacy on the street, certain numbers of them turn to some type of exit. And so we started doing a lot of those numbers. And also donors wanted to know, what are you doing with the money that we send you? So we're, have to kind of share that. It's important because they need a return on their investment. So days of restorative care is 51,764. This was back in January. And then meals that we've provided. The meals, in the U.S., we do about 150 to 60 a week. In the Philippines, they do that about the same. And so we've done more than this now, but we started doing this. We've done over 120,000 meals that we've served. Let me see if I can go presentation mode here. This last quarter, so we'll do a new quarter, January, February, March. We're in March, and then we'll be able to put out some of our numbers. But last quarter, as of last year, 715 safe bed nights, 577 direct services, care services for 28 survivors. And on the list, you already have the hotline number there, and you've got the Tennessee hotline number, and then you've got the federal one as well. Ways that you can get involved. Most of you are already doing this, but I'm just kind of going to go over anyway. Pray. You can start or join a task force. Be a part of a Reach One team, which is our outreach team on Thursday. If you wanted to start something in Johnson City, we could help you start, not a branch, because technically, legally, I'm not supposed to say that, but an affiliate operation outreach over there. We could which would be a task force to do outreach and education and mobilizing people into some of this. You can volunteer, partner with other ministries that we have. We can go into that detail if you wanted.
Christian over there in Johnson City.
Do what?
There are Christians over there in Johnson City.
So you moved there to be a missionary, huh? I can't show it. Did it? It never came back up, did it? Yeah, you can. We've in the room. I know we've got monthly supporters. We've got people do outreach. We've got people who respond as a RISE team advocate, which is pretty much it's a rescue team advocate. Tracy is one of those, and Bailey's done a few of that. We'll mobilize some more in about a month or so. We're going to have some more in-depth training, some more legal training, because there are some things we need to know, things we can and can't do, and some investigative things as well that we've been kind of working on. Yeah, you do that. I already talked about outreach. I wish y'all could see kind of my screen. When we start mobilizing people into spaces, whether you serve in the prevention area, which is kind of awareness, raising awareness of people, kind of doing a 101 similar to what I'm doing, or going on outreach, doing a rescue, or serving at the safe house. What you can't see is we have these rings. Everybody thinks that their departments. We used to say that the prevention department, rescue department, and the restoration department, but we've realized that if you do something in one of those departments, they're kind of linked together. So you can do something in restoration which will affect a girl running to the street, right? Which means now the rescue department has to do a due diligence. We don't just let somebody run. I mean, we do. If they want to go, we let them go, but we want to know where they're going. And so we need to know if we need to get them back. So we have to mobilize the rescue team to be able to respond, because they're the security, they're carrying the guns, they have the on-the-street advocate to know how to de-escalate the situation. If you do something as a volunteer in restoration at the safe house that causes them to run, then somebody's got to go clean up the mess, because they're not going to listen to you. You can't go get them. And so what we try to do as teach is follow the rules. Do things in an ethical and proper manner. And we have, SOPs and all those kind of things that we teach to make sure that we don't mess that up, because we don't have to go find somebody when they run. And pretty much the easiest point is if you do something here, it can have ripple effects somewhere else. So we just need to be aware of that. That was, you can't see it, but it's 3 pictures, 3 circles together, kind of linked together. I can't show you that because it's kind of our operation tree. I can talk about this, the trauma on the brain, and I'm going to end with this because there's a lot of information on this. I've already shared a ton of information. I got 2 more things I want to share. So the brain is broken up in quadrants. It's got 4 parts. And as trauma happens, it starts shutting down parts of the brain. So when you're having a conversation with somebody who is, their frontal lobe has been shut down, they don't think logically, all they think is experience and response. And sometimes the response is either run, fight, or freeze, right? So you got fight, flight, and freeze. Those are the three ways that people respond when trauma occurs to them. And we may be having a conversation, I think I've seen it on outreach several times, where we'll ask a question or we'll say something. Some of the girls and even some of the guys, they will respond a certain way, either aggressive or they just kind of freeze in the conversation. What they don't know is that the trauma that they're experiencing or that has been reminded to them is not connected to us. It's connected to something else or someone else, but they don't see that. So their logic is gone and their reaction is most prevalent. So either they're going to fight you or they're going to make excuses or they're going to lie or they're just going to freeze and kind of whatever happens. And so I think that happens a lot on outreach as well. But our girls do the same thing in the safe house. But they live at the safe house. They program at the safe house, so they can't really run. So what they do is they usually go on some tangent, throw things, which is why we don't have glass in the house, because we don't want you to throw something and stab us with a mirror. So there's other things in place to make sure that you protect them, but also protect your team. But the reason why I share some of this and go into logic, more in depth in logic of this, is the left brain is very analytical, thoughtful, processes information and language, does science and math, right? But when that's turned off, nothing is logical. So when we listen to our girls on the street who are living in survival sex, survival anything, everything is experiential. Everything is, if I do this, I'll be safe. And so you've got to get them safety, and disconnection from that allows the brain to start turning back on. And usually, and we have to remind our staff of this at the safe house all the time, is once their left side of their brain starts turning back on, they start remembering things. They start experiencing some logic, and logic says, I can't believe you allowed those things to happen to you. And then shame settles in even more. And so if you don't navigate those conversations well, or you respond poorly to the rant of cuss words and some made-up cuss words that you hear that they go on, if you're offended by that, then you're not going to really be able to help them. You got to ignore that stuff, right? Because again, it's not you. And so we need to be able to make sure that we help them reconnect the right side of their brain to the left side of their brain. That way they can experience in a healthy way the things that happen to them, and then logically respond and logically deal with it. And which is why it's so important for a lot of scripture and a lot of slow process, group conversations, which is why I think I really want to hopefully start some type of, not a drop-in center, but some type of something similar to that there at the Roadway Wallace area. That way we can allow them to drop their guard. Because if their guard's always up, especially at the door, people listening, they're not going to say anything. Sometimes that one person, I think it was Crystal that came in, and she's like, she just told me all this stuff. But she was away. It was 2 or 3 weeks ago. She just told me all this stuff, right, that's happening. And she didn't know I was looking for the information, as far as I know. But she just said a bunch of stuff. It's because her guard was down. But she didn't have another place to continue talking it. And it would have been awkward that her and I were just sitting over there by the fence having our own private conversation with everybody else. And I'm also breaking protocols because I'm not with the team, and I'm not actually in a safe environment, and I'm by myself with a female. So all kind of protocols are out the window, and which is not safe, which is why it's helpful for Tracy to come over and say, hey, what's going on, Daniel? Can I meet your friend? Yes, you please can meet my friend. That's extremely helpful. Last thing, I started with this, that this is a very difficult ministry. Lacey and I will say often that this is the most difficult, draining, wearing out ministry that we've ever done. But yet it is, can be and is the most rewarding that we've ever experienced. But this is a risk for volunteers and practitioners to get compassion fatigue. Compassion fatigue is, this is what happens. You start, you're exhausted from hearing the stories. Like, I just don't want to hear another story again. Like, a girl's going to say it again. I don't want to hear that anymore. You feel heavy with sadness and empathy. You've got secondary traumatic stress. It's called STS. Means you flinch when you start hearing things or see things. You now exhibiting the trauma in yourself, because that's how trauma settles. Brain, heart, body. That's how it works. When trauma starts coming out in your body, you're too far in. Chronic stress symptoms that might, anyway. Burnout. You're tired of the job. You just want to quit. Lacey was in compassion fatigue for a long time, and she was in burnout. And once you're in burnout, you don't recognize it. It was partially my fault because we didn't have a team around us that could do it until recently. It was all on us, even though we had, this is funny, we had more people to work with on our staff than we have in the last 2 years, and we were more compassion fatigue and burnout than I am now, which is kind of weird. We have less people, but more competent and passionate people, which is really important. And I don't think Lacey's out of burnout yet. It's just you've had conversations with her and seen her. She's just done. And one of the things that's been helpful for me, side note, is I've realized that God, I don't even know what time it is. It's still 12:03. It's 12:26. Okay. God made men and women differently. Women typically wear and respond to trauma and stress a lot differently than men do. Which is why I think it's so important. And this is, the street has a term called daddy. Like trafficker is a daddy, or the boyfriend is called daddy. I think it's a song from Creedence Clearwater Revival that uses the same term. Maybe it was Dire Straits, whatever. Oh, no, I think it's somebody else. Anyway, I can't remember who it is. Hey, little girl, is your daddy home? I think it's Bruce Springsteen, maybe. The term is, it's a term of endearment for an intimate partner now. Your dad's gone, your biological dad, but now is your daddy home, right? The world has used that term now to become more of a derogatory, controlling term. And Satan has taken that position, title, and responsibility and twisted it. Which is why it's so difficult for men to get involved with this type of ministry, because we think it's, there's a stereotype there, right, that men can't get in this ministry. It's so wrong. We need more men who understand who the Father is and who understand how to wield the position and authority that a dad does have, because we have the ability, one, to absorb all the junk. We just do. Which is why it's so important to make sure that my wife is with me when I have these conversations with girls. I've told you some of the conversations that I've had with some of the girls. They'll just tell me everything. They trust me. I don't know why. They just do. They'll say everything. And there's no shame. There's no guilt. There's no, it's your fault. You've told me that, and it is gone, right? I've processed that, and I can love you as God intends in a proper manner. It's so important that we have men in this because our women burn out really, really quickly. I've not seen a man on our team, in my opinion, burn out maybe from some of the stress of the tactics, but the engagement one-on-one with survivors and victims, I don't think we do. I mean, I could be wrong, Stuart, but I don't think that. That's why I say this is what I was created for, to be able to help women and men through this. In burnout, you get diminished interest in the work. And then vicarious trauma, the last part here is the vicarious trauma, all the trauma and the experiences and the stories and the tasks and responsibilities, it interrupts your regular life and behavior. You start to think about it, and it distracts from all the things that you're supposed to be doing. You take on some of the trauma symptoms of victims. You have nightmares, new fears, depression, anxiety, controlling behaviors. As a team, which is so important that we have regular meetings, and even on outreach, we've had to tell people don't come back on outreach because you're no good. You need to get some healthy perspective. It is true. I mean, you end up traumatizing people because you start asking dumb questions, traumatizing questions, and then you start questioning them, and then they feel it, and then now they're being judged because you are you're just in a bad spot, and that's not any healthy place for them. So that's what I mean by you're no good. You're just traumatizing people, and that's just unhealthy. Proverbs 7. I don't have a lot of time to do Proverbs 7. Proverbs. I'm just open it up. Back to pornography, sexual addiction. Yes, I love the app. Go away. Yeah. Stuart, we can make sure we cancel or edit this part out of the video. Proverbs 7. It's called, in this NASB, the wiles of the harlot. My son, keep my words and treasure my commandments within you. Goes on down. Let's see.
5, 4, depending on where you want to start.
Yeah. Bind my teachings up on your fingers, write them on the tablet of your heart. Say to wisdom, where are you, my sister? And call understanding your intimate friend, that they may keep you from the adulteress. The adulteress there, in the context, it's an imagery talking about the harlot on the street, the prostitute. And God brought this to mind, this whole chapter to mind, when Lacey and I were doing a prayer walk in the red light district in Bangkok once. And you had streets on streets on streets of women, Chinese women, Japanese women, Thai women, Russian women, so white, all Asian, white, black as well. And then we went around the corner, and I saw this alley, and all these alleys were all lit up bright, right? Very attractive. This one alley was really dark, and just you could feel the oppression. And so I started asking questions because, remember, I speak Thai. So I would ask the men they'd show the menu of what you could get at this place. And it was not only words, but it was pictures of what you could get and the amount. And they would do it in front of Lacey. They didn't care. But they were like, yeah, no, couples, we do couples too. It's fine. And And so I told Lacey, I said, there's something different about this alley. I said, stay here at the corner, get some juice or something. I'm going to walk across and maybe they won't recognize me. And so I go across and I start saying, hey, what's down here? There's a police officer. What's down this alley? He goes, oh, yeah, it's a fun place. You go, it's good. Well, what is it? And then somebody jokes to the police officer, they're in Thai, and I can understand. I don't give myself away, right? I don't want them to know I speak Thai. So they're talking about it. He's like, yeah, this foreigner, it's a very derogatory term. This foreigner is here with his wife. He's probably done buying girls, or you didn't know that this is for the men. And so I was like, so what's down this alley? It's like, oh, it's just a bunch of clubs, gay clubs. I'm like men? Yeah, gay clubs. Oh, okay. Yeah, you should go see. It's fun. Remember, prostitution and sex stuff is illegal in Thailand. But the police officers directed me down to keep on going down the thing. And curiosity, I guess. Also, you got to remember, we've been in Thailand a long time, and I want to be led by the Spirit. If I don't need to go see something, I don't go. I just don't go because I'm curious. So I'd start to turn around, and I felt this urge. It's the only way I can explain it. Go. You need to see. I don't want to go. No, you need to see. So, okay. So I kind of wave at Lacey, and I go down. I feel like I'm gone for maybe 10 minutes. It felt like a long time. And remember, this whole alley is it's dark. And I start going down the alley, and I start seeing all this stuff, men on men, all kind of stuff. And I come out of the alley into a KFC. At the KFC, I see an American man who has a boy that I saw in the alley. I can't do anything about it. I see this boy, and he's frozen. He's in that moment. He's just fear, frozen. He's supposed to be there. For whatever reason, he's supposed to do this thing. And I get so angry. I didn't get this angry for the women. It just felt different. And I went to say something. And I wanted to. And I stepped forward, and something stopped me. I could not. I was going to kill this guy. I was done. I stepped forward, and I could not move. And I felt the Spirit just say, leave. So I walk out. No, I know what's going to happen to this young boy. I don't know how old he is. I know what's going to happen tonight. I just do. And as I'm walking, I start hearing the Spirit read to me Psalm 7. For at the window of my house I looked out through my lattice, and I saw among the naive and discern among the youths a young man lacking sense, passing through the street near her corner, the adulteress, remember? And he takes the way to her house in the twilight, in the evening, in the middle of the night, and in the darkness. Remember, this is where I'm at, in a dark alley. And behold, a woman comes to meet him, dressed as a harlot and cunning of heart. She is boisterous and rebellious. It's attractive to wayward, worldly men. Her feet do not remain at home. She is now in the streets, now in the square, and lurks by every corner. She seizes him and kisses him. And with a brazen face, she says to him, I was due to offer peace offerings. Today I've paid my vows. Therefore, I have come out to meet you, to seek your presence earnestly. I have found you. I have spread my couch with coverings, with colored linens of Egypt. I have sprinkled my bed with myrrh, aloes, and cinnamon. I mean, it smells good. Come, let us drink our fill of love until morning. I say that to say, I was in the middle of brothels of men, for men. And the Spirit reminded me that it's not a woman. It's not the adulteress. It is the seduction. It's a spirit. And what made sense to me then is that all of these people, the man at the KFC table with that boy, and the boy, all the men, all the women, they're enslaved. All of them. Not to other men, but to sin. All of our women that we see on outreach, all the men that are there that have trauma, they're on the sex offender list, right? They've got their own trauma. All of them have been seduced and controlled by that spirit. And what God told me that day was, it's not just women who can seduce, it's men. And I think that broke my heart more. There's a couple other stories I could tell about similar things that happened there in Bangkok, but maybe in the future. We're not fighting flesh and blood. We're fighting a spiritual battle here. And which is why I say, if you're on the team and you're no good, you can't stay. If you don't know how to respond through the trauma with a survivor in a healthy biblical way, you can't be on the team. If you're there to rescue people, to kick in the doors and have the gun, you can't be on the team. If you're there to see the slavery and say, I can bring the light into that darkness with Christ and with His church, then that's the people that need to be here. Because this is difficult. Another story I'm not going to tell now, but because we had to do an operation in a brothel, I came out, Lacey was outside. I told Lacey, I said, the sucking force of seduction, I don't think I could overcome it. She said, what do you mean? I said, I was there for a purpose to find and remove a girl. If I would have stayed, I would have fallen prey. She said, you got to explain it more. And I opened that scripture again and I read that to her. I said, this is what I felt. On down in that scripture, Solomon is saying to his son, don't you know that this will lead you to your death? Like an ox to a slaughter, you're going to die. This is what this type of trauma and sin and slavery does, which is why you've got to be really, really, really cunning and equipped by the Spirit to do what we do. I feel like I should probably pray and open up for any questions. Father, this is heavy. It is real. And it can be only overcome by you. I pray, Lord, that you would comfort our hearts, heal our minds, And Lord, unless we need to kind of experience some of the secondary or even tertiary trauma here, I pray, Lord, that there would not be emotional trauma here. Spirit, I pray, Lord, that your salve, your comfort, your Spirit would. As I was talking, I could see there's spots in people's hearts and memory that's being touched. I pray, Lord, that you would comfort and heal those. And I pray, Lord, that whatever we're supposed to do moving forward, we just say, yes, sir, and we do it. Not because it's exciting or not because it's a fad thing still to kind of do. God, I pray, Lord, that you would mobilize your army. The numbers that I shared, the 50 million, they're wrong. It's more. The money that's generated in this sin, this debauchery, Lord, it's more than $250 billion. Lord, it's happening in small forms of exploitation and large forms of exploitation. And I pray, Lord, that you would move your body, your church, to be the solution. And Lord, those survivors that we have right now at the Safe House, I know they're going through some tough things. I pray, Lord, that you would comfort and heal them, encourage them into healing. And those that are waiting, that you know where they're at, waiting to be rescued, I pray, Lord, that you'd help them hang on a little bit longer until you can open the door for them to leave. And Lord, whatever you're calling us into, I pray, Lord, that we would submit and surrender to your name. Amen. Okay, any questions? I usually don't have questions because there's so much information. But you can ask questions. Is there tissue back there in that box or that thing? Yes, go ahead about Ukraine.
Just to kind of navigate the propaganda, is there also, like, I've heard stories about, like, that Ukraine is the provider, like, of a lot of sex trafficking.
So before the war,
Before the war,
yeah.
but not after.
Oh, still.
During, during.
Yeah, still. So Ukrainian women, just to be honest, like blunt, Ukrainian women are some of the most attractive women in the world because they have multiple DNA, right? They have multiple cultures inside of Ukraine. So they have red hair or black hair or blonde. They've got wonderful features. They're typically skinny and tall. So they have been, which is some of the information that I gave to the director there of transportation for Ukraine. He didn't believe me until I showed it to him, that some of the girls, they're being sold as Russian mail order brides. Well, they're Ukrainian. But Russia or Ukraine was Russia, or vice versa. Yeah. And so they're the same. So they have, and we actually know of at least 4 Ukrainian women who are being posed and sold as Russian women in downtown Nashville, in the Gulch.
I know several older generation Ukrainians, they still consider themselves Russian.
Correct. Those, especially
Like
on
the
the,
ones my age or older.
especially on the east side. Yeah, the east side.
There's still a lot of infiltration.
Yes. And so the guy that I was telling you about, some of the people will know, there's a girl in our outreach who was my first rescue. Well, the girl that her mom was selling her at the strip club. The guy who was Russian was Ukrainian, really, from the east side, and his name was Vlad. And he was a part of low-level Russian mafia. Well, Russian mafia is still today in operation in all of Russia and Ukraine and here in Nashville. and Knoxville, and, yeah, across the country.
So I know that's been like a concern for people, like, you know, that Ukraine's been looked at negatively, which I think is positive and negative, but
Well, I mean, you could really do that with any country, right?
in every country,
So our purpose to go was to help the trauma of those 62 young women.
affects our Russia.
Yes. And day 2 in our trip there, we discovered that that was not the reason why God sent us there. They were in safety in actual a hospital that was designed for underage, or I guess young, pregnant women. All of them, by the way, decided to keep their child, except an 11-year-old chose to have an abortion, who later killed herself because she was upset with all the trauma from the abortion. She wishes she kept the child. But we realized that the church was not in any state to help all the trauma and the reality of war. And so we spent every day with social workers, most of them believers, and churches, pretty much doing a PTSD, how to deal with trauma, how to recognize trauma, how to help people while you're being traumatized at the same time, and help others. And so that's what we did there pretty much the whole time in Ukraine. And then we equipped our partner there, and that's what they're still doing. They are still, because of what we brought to the table, they are still now working with Kiev, Lutsk, Lviv, and Venetia is another little town. They are working directly with social workers who are helping families, but also those who are being the trauma of the women who are experiencing the trauma of war.
From the kidnaps, and when you hear that Ukrainian kids kidnapped, they are being put into sex trafficking,
Yes, but most of those, so you got two different scenarios. Mafia does it, and other people move them into Moldova and other Romania. But if they go into Russia, they typically stay in Russia, and if they don't comply, then they're relocated into labor or sex as well, if they can't be controlled. And there were tens of thousands of children who were, they say they gave them back to Ukraine, but they didn't. While we were there, we knew of at least 50,000 that were taken out of Ukraine and taken into Russia, southern Russia, near Belarus, and put into, which is another market, they were put into adoptions across the world. So fake papers and all of the kind of stuff was created for them, and so they were adopted out. It's a money chain, yeah.
A lot of the troops don't have a lot of money on that side.
Yeah.
So I saw a lot of stuff talking about that. They're stealing basic stuff like dishwashers and
Yeah.
microwaves and then people. It's all money that they can send back home.
Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Does the law enforcement go after these consumers of this product enough to make any difference? It seems like that ought to be going after the
Which answer do you want? You want the political answer? No,
real truth.
they really don't. They really don't.
I mean, wouldn't that stop a lot of it if there was real laws that suffering would take place? with these?
Well, there are laws that are operational.
Yeah.
But, so in Murfreesboro and in Brentwood, I would say those are the only two real. Murfreesboro and Brentwood have the two best cops I've ever worked with that they will arrest and help prosecute the buyers. Most other, they don't. They just let it go.
Because they, I mean, obviously, if you're aware, they're
Oh, please take the podium. I wanted a table anyway.
There is legislation trying to be passed to create harsher sentences for child sex crimes.
Mm-hmm.
And to avoid the